Welcome to the Hollow Chord Podcast.
I grew up in the suburbs in Horsham and then moved to the city, so yeah, it's a hard transition.
Moving from the suburbs to the city's a regression.
Yes.
He doesn't belong here.
No.
He's not cut from the cloth of the people in this neighborhood.
Right, it's true, yeah. It's true. They can sense that we're like Philly trash when you're walking down. They're like, I don't trust you.
Right, yeah. For a long time before, his wife got her new car, which is a Cadillac, and his car is a piece of shit. There's a Tesla over there. There's
But to be fair, it's my work truck. I'm not trying.
I get it, but you don't have another car.
I know. That's the thing. Now we have that one nice car.
It'd be different. Yeah, it'd be different if you had another car and you're like, that's just my work truck.
Yeah,
no,
you
it's
can't
not
call
just
it your work truck. It's just your truck.
That is.
Yeah.
That's my truck. My
That's
work
fair.
truck.
It sounds more
Slept
official when
in
you
it,
say that, though.
Shit happens.
Yeah.
It makes you sound more official when you say it's my work. Oh, this is my work phone. I only have one phone, but it sounds like I have a bunch now.
Speaking of silence,
yeah.
But yeah,
Thank you.
we don't belong here in this neighborhood.
We're
But it's fun to visit.
yeah. When I hear people, I feel like we're worse than what people consider Philly trash or whatever, because we're from lower Delco, and anybody that hears Delco is like, ooh.
I was gonna say, when people do impressions on like movies and stuff of Philly, it's always Delco, or it's Italian South Philly. Those are the two options.
And you get
but
that wild accent.
Yeah, it's always a Delco accent. Although yours, I don't really notice that you guys have one.
Yeah, I don't got no accent like that.
You do have a little. Okay,
now I do. Bring the fucking hoagies over here. We want a trash cans.
Yeah,
Poconos.
Yeah.
Brought my hose to the Poconos.
Yeah. So
Caught my daughter in the creek with her boyfriend.
yeah.
Oh, that's actually
Eating fucking water ice.
So yeah, we have fun with it sometimes. There's a couple people. We had a guest. Was it 2 weeks ago?
Delco Danny.
Yeah, he's the epitome of
That's his given
Delaware
Christian
County.
name.
Yes. First name Delco, middle name
That's
Danny.
crazy. Yeah, that's crazy.
So and then Bill kind of crowned him the king of Delaware County. So
Yeah, sitting here he is everything Delco is and should be.
Yeah, he
one
stands.
person.
Yeah.
Mayor of Delco.
Mayor of Delco.
Yeah, if you could boil Delco down to
Yeah.
one physical being, it's Danny.
If we had to send someone to the Olympics to represent you, you'd be like, well, we're gonna send Danny.
That's fucking
Yeah.
wholeheartely.
Love that.
All right, we're rolling.
ready, fella?
We're ready.
Do I need to put these bad boys on?
You can if you want.
It's up to you.
I'm not going to.
There's volume control here. You're number 4.
Cool. Thank you.
So.
Thank you.
Yep.
You can let me know if it's too hot or anything.
You're good.
Okay, cool.
You're great.
Oh, dope.
I control everything right here.
Nice. Did you guys build this yourself?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah,
Great
this
work.
table used to be in my kitchen.
Yeah.
And before that, it used to be my table in my apartment, and then he bought it off me.
Yep.
And now it's where the
And then
magic
he got a
happens.
new one, and then we drilled a hole through it, and now this is it.
It's ruined.
The rest is history. Yeah. It can never be a kitchen table again.
Yeah.
And now you're here. So
Yeah,
Yep.
now I'm here. Yeah.
So, thanks, IKEA. All right, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of the Hollow Chord Podcast. I'm Vinny Keller, here with Bill Riley
Yo.
and Papa John's worst nightmare, Dan Steinman.
Hey.
It was a close second.
Really?
It was a close second.
I tried to keep going.
It was a close second to Jesus crust. You want to give her the rundown, or you want me to give her the rundown? I think we always have to.
Yeah, you have to. Go for it.
So this guy eats more pizza than anybody you know.
Okay.
If you go into his trash cans outside right now, there's probably 10 pizza boxes.
from like the week? Or...
From the week, probably.
The day.
So that's more than once a day that you're eating pizza.
It depends on the day.
Yeah, okay.
It's happened.
Okay.
It's definitely happened.
So he gets a pizza pun every episode.
Okay, got it. I was
Yeah.
wondering because I was just listening to the guy who is a metal musician. I don't remember his name. Bob something.
Bob Meadows?
Yes,
Bob Meadows.
and I did not understand the joke in the beginning. So
Yeah, not
love
many
being a
people
part
do.
of this. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah.
What's your favorite pizza place in the city or in the area?
Oh man, lately I've been eating just Slacked Hoagie Shack.
Okay.
They make a great pizza.
Word.
And down the street's Italian Delight. That's always good.
Always.
Always
Do you
clutch
like
on the
try
way
out the new fad pizza places?
Oh
or
yeah. Whatever's around, whatever pops up, you got to give the new guys a shot.
Have you been to Pizza John
No, where's that?
in Manioc? It's like the
No,
new
I'll
one.
have to head over.
I don't think your
Yeah,
truck
don't
will make
do-
it up the hill. And
Yeah,
We'll
that's a
get
really
there,
good
guys.
point. I would walk. Yeah.
Don't they?
Dope.
They only sell pizzas till they sell out, right?
Yeah. Mhm. I'm saying
So
they
you
as
gotta
if
get-
I'm not the manager of Pizza John. I am. They do. Yes, I work there.
Oh, you work there.
I do. Yeah.
Oh,
in
so
my
then-
in my
okay.
spare time. Yeah.
Okay.
And yeah, it's just till you sell out, and usually it'll be like we use like a website. You just sign up a week ahead of time. It's like a whole thing, and usually it sells out within a couple of minutes of the site going up. So it's a whole
Oh, they might have been talking about that on Preston and Steve one morning.
definitely were.
Something like
yeah.
that. Yeah.
Do you
Yeah,
have
there's
the-
a couple of food things that came up.
Is that where the pizza museum is too? Isn't there like a pizza museum? in
Hold
Philly?
on. You said pizza
what?
Yeah,
museum?
there's like some kind of pizza museum in Philly. I think I'm not 100% sure.
Oh, you need
But
to be
I'm
100% sure about
almost
this.
And then I know specifically because there's a piece of pizza in acrylic, and my mind was blown because I didn't know you could put like pizza or food in acrylic and then have it never rot.
Oh my god.
Oh, like they put it in the resin kind of stuff,
Yeah,
and it like
yeah.
stays forever. Never heard of this before. I've lived
That
in
is
Philly for
news
like
to
6
me.
years. That's crazy.
Yeah. I don't.
But I could have sworn it was like a Pizza John affiliate thing. We got to look this up.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
we
feel
gotta-
like I would know, but unless it happened like yesterday. I wasn't working yesterday, so who knows?
We've got to investigate
Yeah.
this for sure.
and as Bill would say, is I smell a sponsorship.
Pizza Brain. That's what it's called.
Pizza
Brain.
Pizza Brain.
Okay.
Well, she doesn't work at that place, so fuck that place.
Yeah. I don't... yeah, very true.
Yeah, there's a museum here. I knew it.
It's a museum, dude. I
Yeah,
got
there's like pizza clocks and pizza Barbies.
Not actual pizzas though,
No.
right?
just
that-
pizza themed.
Pizza
like,
themed, yeah.
Sounds creepy.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty creepy.
I don't like that.
I don't care for that shit at all. Don't love that.
Oh my god. Yeah, no, that's weird.
Kind of rude they didn't consult you about it before they made a pizza museum, though.
No, I feel like I should be on that phone call list.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm surprised you haven't been to Pizza John.
Yeah.
I haven't, but I'm surprised you haven't.
And I swear Steinman has eaten more pizza than Dave Portnoy.
Fucking Portnoy. Yeah, he came and raided John. That's
Were you there for that?
I was not there for that. No, I didn't super know who he was at the time. I do now because everybody comes in and is like, "Oh, Portnoy was here. This is where he stood when." He... Like, yeah.
Yeah, we got that too. He reviewed a couple of places by like where we used to live.
Yeah.
And the one was like right around the corner from where we lived. And everybody's like freaking out, like Portnoy was in this parking lot. And we're like, okay.
Yeah. Has he done anything other than this pizza thing? Is he like was he famous before that?
Well, he does Barstool Sports.
Yeah, he's the
so
president
he has,
of Barstool.
Yeah, so
right.
he has like
Oh, okay. Understood.
he's a multifaceted kind of gentleman who does sports betting and sports reviews and weird YouTube videos and
Got it. Okay.
fights with Michael Rappaport and
So he's the one. He's the one who made the Saturdays are for the boys flags that everybody
Yeah.
has on their wall now.
Yeah, and then there was like he's been like raising money for local businesses, and
Oh damn.
yeah, he he bailed Reading Terminal Market out.
Okay, Portnoy.
So
I didn't
All right, we're
that.
cool then.
yeah, they were hurting, and
he's
he-
worth a fuck ton of money.
yeah,
Oh,
he,
yeah.
he helped raise money to keep them going. So
That's awesome, man.
thanks for that.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Thanks, Portnoy.
Seriously.
We're cool.
For now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we went off on a tangent. Were you going to
Sorry
introduce our
about that.
guest?
Yeah, we should do that.
Yeah, go ahead,
but-
Simon.
Oh, it's me.
Yeah.
All right. Here we go.
Yeah.
So, I'm going to give you the bio straight off of Twitter. With us tonight is...
No.
Straight off of Twitter.
No.
No, it disappeared. I can't.
Damn. What was it?
All right. It was...
Oh, I know what it was.
It was... Let me see if I get this right.
Yeah.
Kirsten's the name. Emasculating men by being funnier than them is the game.
The game, it sure is.
Okay. It was actor, writer, comedian, horror professional, and oxygen enthusiast.
Oxygen enthusiast.
All right,
You
I
got that right.
Kirsten
You are
Michelle
off book.
Cills.
Yeah. That is me, Kirsten Michelle Cills. Hello. Thanks for having me, gentlemen.
Of course.
Thanks
Thanks
for
for
doing
coming
this.
out.
We appreciate
Absolutely.
it. So tell us about yourself, something that we don't know from reading your Twitter bio
Oh, man.
or your Instagram bio or looking at your Instagram pictures.
Let's see. It can be anything, or does it have to be like big?
Just your upbringing. So
Okay.
I mean, the biggest thing that like I'm sure we all have on our minds is your cystic fibrosis.
Yeah.
And you were born with that.
I was totally, yeah. So, so I'm a stand-up comic in Philly. I'm an actor, and I am terminally ill, which is like kind of how I started getting into comedy because there's a lot of just funny that goes along with being terminally ill in your 20s.
But they say, like comedians say that like you have to be fucked up to be funny.
Have to be fucked up, yeah. It's always like, did you have a good childhood or are you funny now? Like, pick one. You can't have had both. Yeah. So I was born with a terminal lung disease. I've obviously had it my whole life. And so it's always kind of hard for me to speak on, like how has it affected me? Because I've never lived. It's not like I was someone who like lived a whole normal life and then got diagnosed with something. It's like I've never lived a day without, being terminal. So I don't quite know everyone else's experience. But I started doing comedy I started acting before I started doing comedy. I have a degree in acting. I graduated from University of the Arts on Broad and Walnut in Philadelphia.
Very nice.
About 3 years ago. And going to theater school is it's mostly drama that they want you to do. You don't really do a lot of funny stuff if you're going to be a theater actor. So I didn't really get into comedy until my last year. So it's been about 4 years that I've been doing comedy.
Were you getting into comedy on your own or through the school or?
On my own, yeah. I always knew I was funny. I always knew I loved comedy. Comedy was what I wanted to do, but I wasn't really given the opportunity to do very many funny things. Like when you go to school for acting, it's just a lot of like crying and every class is like it's a conservatory, so you don't take gen eds, you just take classes for your major full time. So I never took a math or a science class. It was just every day for 4 years straight, acting, ballet, singing classes, all of that. And so every class you'd walk in and it would be like 8:30 a.m. class, and the first thing you're doing is your teacher's like, okay, tell me about your childhood traumas. And like you literally spend from the first class to the last class just crying all day, like, and for a reason. Like they want you to be emotional and they want you to like be in a situation where you feel like you can be vulnerable. But I just remember hitting like my third year of college and being like, why the fuck am I doing this? Like, I get it. So I don't know, I guess I started doing comedy when I sort of realized I think my talents are better used being funny than they are sitting around and crying about how sick I am. I think that there's a lot more enjoyable. I can get a lot more out of it for myself if I don't just sit around and like just talk about trauma all day. But the teachers, when you're in acting school, they really want you to get emotional and tell them like all about what it's like to be a terminally ill person, or like someone whose parents were abusive. They like want you to get into that or something like. And so they're very it's very like exploitive, I would say. It wasn't like,
it seems intrusive.
It's super intrusive.
Yeah.
I guess that's just like a part of the game. If you're gonna go to theater school, like that's gonna be what it is. But when I hear about, it wasn't until I graduated that I heard what college was like for other people. And I was like, what? Your teachers?
Wait a minute, you were having fun?
Yeah, right. Just like, what? The biggest one for me that was crazy was because I went to art school, obviously. So, like, we didn't have straight men. Like, we just didn't at my school, of course, right? So, meeting people who had, like, keg parties, and I'm like, what? Like, I didn't see a keg until I had already graduated college. We would have parties and, like, jungle juice. No joke at all. Jungle juice. The gays would make like vats of sangria. has jungle juice. And we were all like, yeah, of course. Like, we're going wild this week. Like, who's bringing the wine? Like, and then I graduated and I started, being around normal, not performers, and being like, this is crazy. Like, you're telling me these men like women? What? Yeah, so theater school was a lot. And then once I graduated, I was like, I still act professionally, but I just realized I want to kind of hone in just into doing comedy acting because it's exhausting to do dramatic theater acting full time.
I'm sure.
It's
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's crazy. What was your introduction to comedy? Like way back? Like what made you like ever consider comedy?
So, okay. So when I was a kid, I used to I would spend months straight in the hospital. I would spend a good majority of my childhood in the hospital, which is funny to me now when I see that everybody has now had to be quarantined for so long when that was my entire life growing up, what 2020 is for everyone.
So you had this shit figured out.
Figured out on lock. I love being alone because I just have always been. It's
funny because once quarantine hit for me, I love being alone too. So I'm like, this is it. I'm in my fucking prime.
Dude,
yeah,
me too.
right.
Me too. We were all kind of like, dude, where has this been all our lives?
Yeah.
Like, this is fucking perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, I sat in my basement. I fucking played guitar. I bought all these new recording programs, and I just made music the whole entire time.
Right. I think if you're an artistically minded person, you enjoy being alone more, probably, because you want that space to not have to socialize.
Yeah.
So I spent so much of my childhood, in the hospital. I still do in my adult life, but technology exists now, and it just did not. I was born in '94, and it just did not. So my entire life, I would be in the hospital with 3 TV channels, no Wi-Fi, nothing like that.
Yeah.
So, and I wasn't allowed to leave my room. It was usually actually quarantined because I'm so susceptible to germs. So it was kind of I had this little room and I had to just figure out things that I was into. And they had this one, it was very 90s. They had this one little rolly cart you would have in elementary school, and they'd wheel in the movie cart, know?
Yeah.
And they would have that, and only one kid on the floor could have it at a time, obviously, because there's only the budget for the one.
Yeah.
But when you got the cart, it was hot. They had an N64, Mario Party 2, none of the other ones. Mario Party 2 is a good one, though.
Yeah.
Is superior to 3, not as good as 1. But I think we can all agree on that, right?
All right.
And then they had just a bunch of games and card games, and it was kind of the entertainment cart. So you only got it for not even once a day, maybe for an hour or two, but it was a huge deal. And so I would get really into the entertainment cart, and they would have not DVDs, VHSs, and things that people would donate.
Throwback.
Yeah, I know, right? I know. I was thinking DVD was a throwback.
Oh, yeah.
And now I'm
It is a
throwing
throwback.
It still is.
I literally just got rid of all my DVDs.
Yeah.
I digitized everything and just got
Dude,
rid of
that's
them.
crazy because if I go through old boxes at my parents' house, I still have my old VHSs from when I was a kid.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Well, I guess there's some things you just can't actually get on streaming. Not everything's available on streaming. Sometimes you have to pay. You have to buy it. Rent it for $3.99 or whatever. But if you have it on DVD.
Or if you just Google it, you steal it from the internet.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a really good point.
Yeah, there's nothing that can't be stolen at this point. It's crazy.
I do. The only things I do currently still have in hard copy, I always have, is I was telling them upstairs, I'm really into horror movies. They're my whole life, and Jaws, and so I was I realized that every Halloween, every October, they get rid of all the good ones so that you have to pay for them. So I was I'm sick of that bullshit. So I just went on Amazon, and I anything I own in hard copy is a horror movie because I'm sick of them taking that shit away from me,
That's great.
Yeah. I digress. So let's see. So I would spend a lot of time alone, and I started writing jokes, but not stand-up comedy jokes, but thinking of knock jokes on my own, you know what I mean?
One-liners.
Right, yeah. I was this is gonna fucking kill in second grade when I get back there. They're gonna lose their minds. And so I started doing that, but then once I hit my early teen years, because I'm always sick. When you're sick, you kind of sleep all day, and then as a result, you're up all night, and your sleep schedule is kind of fucked. So I would do that. I'd be in the hospital for weeks or months or whatever, and my friends would all be on a normal schedule. So I didn't really have anyone to like talk to, like when we got texting and everything. I didn't have any way to like, all the people my age were asleep. And that's when I started getting really into basically just all the sitcoms that they play at night, which are for adults, but the kids shows play during the day, and I would miss the kids shows. Right. So I remember being like 7 or 8, and my favorite show was Cheers. I was really into Three's Company. I was really into the shows, the only thing that was on. And I remember when I would go back to school, I'd finally like be out of the hospital, I'd get to go back, and I felt like I had nothing to talk to with the students because they were all watching shows that I had never seen because I slept all day.
Right, they're watching the kid shows, and you want to know, like, hey, did you see what Jack said to Mr. Furley this week? Like,
and they're like, get out of here, you fucking nerd. Back to the hospital. I'm like, yeah, that's fair. And then when I hit like 14, I got really into late night comedy because I will never forget. This is like so embarrassing now because it's not like he's like known for being super funny. But when I was a kid, when I was like 14, the first episode of Late Night with Jimmy Fallon aired. Okay. And it aired every night at 11:37 p.m. every single night. I was so into it. I remember he had been on SNL. SNL was something I would be awake for. So I got really into him, and I just like fell in love with Jimmy Fallon, like in a way that I'll never admit again after this moment. Because
sorry, I love Jimmy Fallon too.
You do? Okay.
Out of all the late night hosts, it's Jimmy Fallon, Jimmy Kimmel, maybe Conan.
Yeah. Thank you. I agree. I think, I don't know what it was.
There's something kid-like about Jimmy Fallon that's just, you can't not like him.
He's so pure.
Right.
He really
that's
is.
what it is. Yeah.
And I think some people give him heat because he's, he laughs at everything and he kind of like is always smiling, and it seems like he can't really be sincere. Which,
see, I
like,
had no problem with that on the late night stuff. In SNL, I was like, dude, stop laughing.
Dude, yeah, you've had this script for like at least 5 days.
Right. Get over the joke already.
You're
man.
good, bro. Yeah, right. Yeah. So I got obsessively into Jimmy Fallon, which again was a weird thing because he became my crush to end all crushes. He was like the person I was convinced, because when you're 14 years old and you're like obsessed with things, you don't just like something, you're obsessed with it. Yeah. And I was obsessed with Jimmy Fallon, and I was like, I'm gonna marry him. I can't believe he's already married, blah blah blah. I had posters of him, but they didn't really make posters of him, so I would print out my own like pictures to like basically like make a poster to hang up of him. And I'm 15, this dude is 37 at the time. And so like not pretty confusing for my parents and my teachers and like everyone involved.
But you're not really worried about the logistics, right?
No. He's already married, and until I get to meet him personally, that was my thing. I was like, if I met him, it'd be over for his wife. Like, if I met him, right, because I'm 15 and I'm like just becoming a woman, and I'm like, it's over for this bitch. Like, I'm coming in hot.
Straight up 15-year-old home wrecker.
Yeah, like, that was honest to God my goal. I was so in love with him. And I remember wearing my Jimmy Fallon shirts. I had like 3, and I would just wear them on rotation because how nobody fucking changes their clothes when they're 14. And I would like wear it, and my mom would make me wash it, and so that I could then wear it again the next day. And all my teachers were just like, this dude's 40. What are you attracted to about him? I was like, I do not know. I just know you know it when you feel it, and this is love, right? When you know, you know. And so I got really into his comedy, and I got really into late night, and then he ended up moving. That was right when he first started late night. So obviously he ended up moving to the Tonight Show. And I just realized, I guess, once I started watching him, that like he was kind of the only thing kind of keeping me company, when I was like a teenager, when I couldn't really, we did have social media-ish and we did have texting, but no one was really like awake to hang out with. So I was really in like a deeper way, it was more like, oh, Jimmy Fallon's like my friend I hang out with every day. But then when I was 15, my mom got me tickets to see his show live.
Oh shit!
I cried for 3 days when I found out. I only stopped crying in the car before I got here.
Those tickets are hard to fucking get.
Yeah, but at the time, nobody fucking cared who Jimmy Fallon was, so they were so easy.
Yeah, now they're
insane.
You got to call like the minute they go on sale, and they're like a month in advance, and if you don't call it that minute, fucked. I've tried to go a couple times.
Yeah, and they especially they do like a raffle too, kind of like how they do SNL, because now it's the Tonight Show. It's huge.
Yeah, you got to put your name on a list, and then they call you back, and then it's like a whole ordeal. And then if you can't go, you got to let them know.
Yeah.
And
I have like a slight connection to that whole thing, and I still can't fucking get them.
You can't get in.
No.
Yeah.
It's not well. They are free, is the thing. It's not like you have to pay for them. It's just
they just
that
want the
it's-
studio
Right.
audience filled up every night.
Yeah,
And-
it's that live reaction that they need.
Yeah.
That's what bases the whole
Right.
show. You know what I mean?
And so they needed people, but I found out when I got there, because they kind of keep the audience in like a little area for a while, so everyone kind of got talking to each other. It was when he was in his really small studio, and I was the single person who reserved a ticket. Everybody else was there because they were in New York that day, and they were giving out tickets outside of 30 Rock, and they were all there. There were people who have like, I do not know who this is. I've never seen this show, and I was the one idiot who was like, what? I was like, I hope he does this bit, and oh my god, I hope I get to see Higgins, who's like his announcer. I was like beyond excited, and you had to be 17 to go, and I was 15. So my mom and I had this whole thing planned, because we were like, we're gonna have to get me a fake ID that just says I'm 17.
Right?
Not that you can do anything with a 17 ID, but you can get in to see Jimmy Fallon. So I was like, done. I got in, I got to see him, and again, I was the only one who cared about him. And I used to have, this is so embarrassing, but I used to have this picture of him framed next to my bed. And I was, again, too old to have this. Like, this is not cute at all. And I brought it with me in my purse. And when he came out for his opening monologue, I like held it up so he could see it. And again, he's like, is that someone in the audience who knows who I am? Like, he couldn't believe it either. He's like, what? And so then at the end of the show, he goes around and he high fives everyone, like, who's on the edge. You put your hand out, and he came up to me and he hugged me, and it was like the biggest moment to this day, the biggest moment of my entire life. Obviously, it meant nothing to him, but it meant everything to me. And ever since that day, I swear to God, I was like, I am going to be the first woman to take over like late night. Like, I want to be the first woman to take over the Tonight Show. I was like, that's always been my dream. It has since shifted into like, now I just want to do stand up and I just want to be an actor. But that's pretty much when I decided like, oh, I love watching comedy, to being like, I guess that was kind of my first time seeing live comedy in that way. Yeah. And I was like, I'm doing this for a living, even if they don't pay me, even if I have to pay them. I'm doing this for a living.
That's awesome.
The
That's
words of a
story.
the words of a true artist, man.
Yeah.
Because like, we're all musicians here, so like growing up, like we would essentially pay to play at venues that we wanted to play at.
Yeah.
Like, we were given like a whole fuck ton of tickets, and they're like, sell them or you can't play, and we're like, oh great, like we're 16.
Right? Who the fuck are we giving?
we
them
only
to?
know 16-year-olds in our family.
Yeah,
Like,
Right.
honestly, that's
we're gonna sell like 10 tickets.
And we're playing metal at that. Like,
Right.
so you're not getting your family to come.
No.
Yeah.
You might get like a cool uncle or something.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I think my mom came and my uncle. But did your mom come?
my mom came, and
Yeah. Okay.
and my uncle, who's like into like, not even into metal, but who he'll cause a
So
scene just
we,
to
yeah. We had 4 adults come.
just to support.
Nice.
So there's four tickets sold out of like the 50 pack that we were given, and we just had to give them back. We're like, listen.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
They call in comedy, we have those kind of too. They're called bring shows, which is where you basically make a comedian think that you're booking them, and like they get honored, and they're like, oh my gosh, you want to book me on your show? And then last minute they're like, now that you've signed on, it does require that you bring 10 people or you can't perform. And it's like, oh, okay, Got it.
now it
That's
makes
shitty.
sense.
Yeah, they kind of go after people who have a big following, like social media or whatever. They'll be like, oh, let's get this person to come in because they'll bring in people for no other reason than just that. It's kind of fucked.
That is fucked. Because like, what if you're just trying to go to a club just to, like, work out material,
Right.
and you're not there to perform like a 30-minute or however long, like you just want to do a 5-minute bit to see if it works.
Yeah.
I feel like there's that wall for any artist just to get through. Like you got to get through that like shit period of like that kind of situation, or like selling tickets to play a show.
Yeah, and then people actually want you. But yeah, it usually is just going to open mics, like hitting your 5 minutes, and then if you're lucky enough to get booked on a show, then you can they'll let you talk for longer, which is the hardest thing in comedy, is getting people to let you talk for longer on stage, because usually the most you can do is a 5, and until you get a little more established, you can't book anything more, but a lot of the time you won't be able to book anything more unless they know you have something more. So you kind of need that first person to be like, I'm going to give you the opportunity to write a 30-minute set and then do it. Because people aren't just going to book you if you don't have a 30. But how could you have a 30 unless you've been given the opportunity to make one? So yeah, it's kind of hard.
It's like getting your first credit card. I was just having the same conversation with somebody the other day. And I was like, you can't get a credit card because you don't have credit.
Yeah.
But how are you supposed to build credit unless somebody gives you a credit card?
Yeah.
How can I make a 30-minute set if nobody will give me the chance to make a 30-minute set?
Yeah.
Like, you got it.
It's all about who you know, honestly. Yeah. It's honestly like when you get out to LA and stuff, you really just find out it's just because somebody is somebody's daddy, you know. Like, a lot of daddy special boys out there who get to just do stuff because their dad knows someone or their like grandparents are famous or something. So that's pretty much how you get it done normally. Like in show business, it's kind of just you have to have friends. So
I saw on your Instagram that you were in LA.
And you
had a sweet heated pool.
I do have a sweet heated pool. Thank you for bringing that up because that's the main thing I wanted to talk about today was that fucking pool.
Let's talk about how that pool came about. How
Yeah.
the pool came to fruition.
Yeah, thank you for
I
asking.
only want to talk about that pool going
you.
forward.
Nobody asks, so thank you.
How wet was that water, by the way?
It was on a scale of what?
Because it looked only like.
Getting into dangerous answer territory. So yeah, I do go to LA. I work on a sitcom that takes place here in Philly and is filmed in Philly. But the producers live in LA, so I do have to go out to LA a good portion. We kind of everybody from LA flies in when we film. So I don't want to always make.
Okay. And this is Terminally Chill?
This is Terminally Chill.
Okay, because we all watched that. It was really good.
Oh,
and Vinny and I were
my
talking about
gosh.
it this morning.
Guys, thank you. I didn't realize. Thank you. Yeah. So that was like what we call a proof of concept. So it's not an official pilot. We're actually refilming everything now that we have backings and a budget and all that. But it's kind of what you film, kind of a homegrown, homemade to show networks so that they will use their equipment to like redo it for you. So that's the idea. But thank you guys for watching.
Essentially your pilot.
Exactly. Yeah.
Kind of like the same premise with like Delco Proper, how they went around and did theirs on YouTube first. And
Yes, exactly. I think Broad City did the same thing. I think they were a web series and then they got picked up by HBO
I actually worked for the school district where Abby Jacobson went to high school.
No way. Wait, is she from here?
She's from like the main line, yeah.
How did I feel like I should have known that. Okay, that's so cool. Wait, that's awesome.
Yeah, the school district I work for, that high school, she went there.
Isn't that also where Tina Fey's from?
No, that's Upper Darby. That's
Upper
where
Darby.
we went.
Yeah, we all went to that high school.
That's
Oh, no
we got
way.
the Wall of Fame. We had
Jim Croce.
I knew two people on there. It was Tina Fey and Jim Croce. I don't think I know anybody else.
Yeah.
The linebacker for the Carolina Panthers, Dan Morgan, I think was his name. It was the only three people that I knew.
Yeah,
from,
he played Clifton football, and then we had Jamie Kennedy too, but he went to Bonner. He didn't go to Upper Darby.
Jamie
he
Kennedy?
wasn't one of ours.
Like Jamie Kennedy?
Jamie Kennedy.
Yeah.
Went to high school.
For the listeners, I'm pointing to my Scream tattoo
Yeah,
because favorite movie of all time. Wait, that's crazy. How did I not know he wasn't from here either?
Yeah, he went to the
He's from Philly.
high school up the road.
He actually just filmed a movie here not too long ago about being from Delco. It was in Upper Darby.
What?
Yeah. I gotta look it up.
I love how much attention
heard
Philly's getting with
I
these
know, right?
movies.
It's great now.
Yeah.
Especially with whatever Sandler's doing right now too.
Hustle.
Sandler, he's big right now.
He's
Everybody's-
everywhere. Everybody's posting pictures of Adam Sandler. And then I know Mulaney's here right now for a while because John Mulaney, because he's doing his run here. Haven't run into him yet though, but yeah, I feel like there's always celebrities now in Philly. And then they had Jason Segel. What was it last year when they were doing? He and Kate Winslet were filming their show.
Oh yeah,
The Delco one.
right.
Mayor of Easttown?
Yes.
That's it. I could not get the name of that show to save my life.
I have not watched it, but I have heard it's a good representation of Delco.
You
I've
saw
heard
it, right?
I did.
reviews.
It's enjoyable. There's a few things that I picked apart just because I'm like, nah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
That's how I feel when I watch
Right,
Always
'cause-
Sunny. I'm like,
Yeah.
Nobody calls it the Wawa. They call it Wawa.
Right.
Do your research, sweetie.
Right. And like people from around here, like when they say, oh, down in Ridley Creek, like I don't call it a creek, I call it a crick.
Yeah, the great.
It's a crick.
Found my daughter in the creek with her boyfriend.
Right. Exactly.
Eating fucking hoagies, feeding her water ice. I fucked them up.
Hoogies.
But
There was a scene on The Office where one of them was talking about malls in the Philly area, and you could tell it was just actors from LA reading the script because they called it the King of Prussia Mall. And I was like, it's the King of Prussia Mall.
King of Prussia.
King of Prussia.
Did you ever see The Silver Linings Playbook?
Yeah, oh, hell yeah.
One of my favorite movies ever.
Hell yeah.
But if you notice, when Jennifer Lawrence says King of Prussia Mall, she had to overdub that. Because
she said it wrong.
Go watch. I don't know what she said, but it's overdubbed. You can tell her lips aren't saying.
With the ADR with it?
Yeah.
That's great. Wait, that's insane. I did not know that.
Yeah, when she's talking about her husband who got sideswiped on the road.
I can imagine Bradley Cooper now going, what the fuck is wrong with you?
I was going to say, Bradley should have been on that.
Yeah.
Right.
That's fun. I never knew that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I'm super stoked that we're actually filming in Philly, because it also would have been easy to just fly me out to LA to film as opposed to all these people
film on a
coming in
soundstage
from
and then
LA.
get all your pickup shots in Philly.
Right.
Yeah,
But we were like, we really want to commit to making this not just a show that like pretends to be in Philly but doesn't really,
like,
support
It's
Philly
Always Sunny.
businesses.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
We want to
the
actually
authenticity of it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We want to be using, we have a scene that we're going to be filming like in a Wawa. We want to be using all the, like, if we're going to be at a brewery, we want to use the South Philly, bars and all of that to kind of give them attention. We got, do you know Cape May Brewing Company? Really big around here. They're like sponsoring us. So anytime anyone drinks a beer with the logo out, it's a Cape May, which is awesome because we want to try to bring, attention to Philly.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I love when people do that. I mean, that's just it gets the attention and it benefits everybody around here. It's
Yeah.
I love it. I
Right.
always
Yeah,
love that kind of
exactly.
So the movie that Jamie Kennedy's in, it's called Last Call.
I have not heard about
And
it.
their fake town is called Darby Heights.
Oh yeah.
Clifton Heights and
Yeah.
Upper Darby together.
It's very
Two
creative.
worst
But
places
a lot
in
of that
Delco.
wasn't filmed here.
No?
No, like a lot of it was filmed in like Newark, Delaware. And it was like made to be Darby. Like they're not going to film in Darby.
They don't want to film it.
The actors don't want to stay in Darby.
I live in Darby.
Yeah,
You
they
know?
were like, we don't want to be here.
Like I was born there and grew up there until I was about 8 years old, and it's only gotten worse.
Yeah, because they do have to also, to a certain extent, when you're picking places you're going to film, you have to take into account the actors are going to be living there for how long in whatever hotel or whatever, and they're going to want like places with like nice restaurants and all of this. So a lot of the time, even if you're filming in a certain area, the actors are staying like an hour away because that's the closest to civilization for them, like the closest to what they're used to in LA.
Yeah.
In an area like this.
So, tell us more about your show. I'm super interested on like how that came about and the concept of that. And obviously the concept stems from you, but how did your producers in LA like hook up with you to get that started?
Yeah, so right when I graduated college, a little before, I was approached by two producers who went to UArts also, who like I knew enough at the time, knew of, and I said they sat me down and they were like, oh, we want to take you out to dinner, which is weird to me because I'm like, you wouldn't normally take me out to dinner, and they basically just approached me and they were like, we are working on a network of shows and we want our big project to be a sitcom. We want it to be about the life of a girl named Kirsten who is terminally ill and she has cystic fibrosis and she's a comic in Philly. And I'm like, this is a crazy concept. Like, where'd you think of this? And they were like, but obviously we can't do it without you. It's not our place to write this story without you doing it, and it's not our place to make this without you being in it. And they were like, will you get on board with this? Because we think that this is just a really interesting story to tell and that it could be really successful in that sense. So, and then my Twitter handle at the time, and I guess still is just terminally chill. That was always like what I called myself. Because I was like, I'm terminal, but I'm like a cool girl. Not like the other girls.
Which is an awesome play on the name, by the way.
Thank you, yeah. So I had that for years, and they said, but the first thing is we need to buy the rights to like that website, like that handle in general. So like we need to get terminally chill. We want to stick with that. So promise us you won't change the name so no one else can take it, all of that. And then we just kind of started. I mean, we weren't really sure how much we should make it like shot for shot about my life versus how much should be, made up, because it's kind of like Fresh Prince where his name is Will Smith. He's playing a guy like Will Smith, but it's not like the events of each episode happened to him. Those are made up, but the premise is about Will Smith's life, like theoretically.
You mean Uncle Phil didn't bail him out in that pool hall?
Bro.
You know, with that pool stick?
Right.
Dude, he hustled the shit out of that.
Jeffrey?
I was going to say.
Break out Lucille.
He's like screwing it on. He also, you knew he was going to do that, though, because why else would he have brought Jeffrey to the pool hall?
Exactly.
Jeffrey wouldn't be caught dead in a pool hall. I digress. So that was such a dope scene. I'm just remembering. Thank you.
Totally threw that conversation.
Yeah. And so we kind of had to sit down and decide, like, what are big things we want to cover? What parts of me do we want to caricaturize and make to like a 10, and then what parts of me do we want to say like, no, this isn't what we're going to keep with the character, and we'll add stuff. The character originally had my full first, middle, and last name, but since we filmed the pilot that you saw, we have changed her last name to something else for like my sanity, because they need to be a little different, and it's really hard for me when we'll be in writers' meetings and I'll have written a scene where this character Kirsten did something, and they'll be like, I don't think Kirsten would do that, and I'm like, what? Like, you don't think Kirsten would do that? Like, I wrote it, and I'm Kirsten.
Hi, have we met?
Yeah, right. And so we had to kind of give a different last name, so we went with Kirsten Keen. That way we could keep me a little separated between my real life and the show, so I don't develop any sort of personality disorder moving forward.
I mean, if you're going to develop a personality order, it's probably good you do it with somebody with the same name.
With exactly
So,
me,
like,
but yeah.
kind of.
The character, we had to decide, like, what is she going to be like? What part of me is she going to be a lot more like? Which, when you do stand-up, have any of you ever done stand-up or comedy or anything?
No.
So when you do stand-up, that's kind of the first thing they tell you is your stand-up persona is acting. You know, it's yourself, but you take certain aspects of yourself and you maximize them to like a 10.
Right.
So, you know, you'll look at like John Mulaney, for example. I was just talking about him, right? He's not such a square nerd, like little bitch boy, but he goes out of his way to take that part of his personality and like sell it. So that's his whole thing.
Yeah.
But in reality, he's a three-dimensional person. We all are, but no one wants their stand-up comic to be three-dimensional. They want you to be like a character.
Right, yeah, you need to fit in a box that somebody wants to keep you in.
Because that's what makes you super marketable. It's like, oh, she's the girl who does this thing. You know, he's the guy who does this thing. So,
Well, that kind of ties into the problem where, like, if I was talking to Vinny about this morning. The character Burke, is that his name? Your boyfriend? Beck. That's it. I fucking hate that dude.
oh yeah, good. Me too.
If I meet that dude in real
Fuck
life,
that dude.
fuck that dude.
Me too.
But
he's
obviously,
a sad boy.
right, he's acting. So,
Yeah, he's acting. Yeah.
But see, that's the thing. That's
But
like,
still,
you know
fuck that
somebody
dude.
does a good
Still
job.
fuck him. Fuck
in
Beck
that.
and Carter who played him. Fuck you, but I'm just kidding. I love you, Carter.
Ralph, though. Ralph's my man.
Yeah, Ralph.
Oh, he's awesome.
Ralph is South Philly in a nutshell, man.
And Brenda, I'm trying to figure out what's wrong with Brenda.
Yeah, I guess you'll find out, won't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they got beef,
so. Wait.
but we'll never know why. No, we'll let you know why.
I was pissed when I got to the end of 2,
Yeah.
and I was like, wait, where's 3? Like,
I was
what's
looking
going
at
on?
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, because it's always like, you know, YouTube, you know, this next thing playing is the next thing
Yeah.
after whatever I just watched. And I'm
Yeah.
like, why is it not part 3 coming up next?
Yep. Oops.
But you kind of develop like when you see a human like acting, like, and now like you see them on the street, like you're still that person I saw on the screen.
Right, exactly.
Like, I don't give a fuck what you say. That's who you
Yeah.
are, and fuck you for being back.
Right, I'm never gonna forgive you.
Right, for doing that. How dare you?
exactly. And that's kind of the idea. Like we had to kind of grapple with. I think my biggest mission statement for the show was, you know, when you start pitching to networks, and the question's always like, well, what do you want to be telling by doing this show? What's your kind of mission statement? And for me, it's always like, I hate how in movies and TV, because there is a lot of representation of like terminally ill people. Like, we've all seen one movie, right? You know, like every movie that's like kind of a drama always has like a sick person or a Walk to Remember, A Fault in Our Stars, whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm not on oxygen right now, but I often am in my life. I'm just healthy right now, knock on wood, because I have not had to leave the house and get near
I'm gonna
anybody's
knock on
germs.
something else. I'm not sure this is wood.
Knock on this goddamn IKEA table that's definitely plastic.
Knock
So,
on his head.
if I get sick, it's on you guys for this fucking table. And so we kind of were just like, I think the story we want to tell is, I hate when you see these terminally ill characters and they're just made out to just be like angels because they're terminal, like they can do no wrong. And so I was like, I want this character to not be a good person, right? She's not kind to people. She's not like overwhelmingly like a saint. She's a shitty person, like a lot of people who live in South Philly are. We all have that in us. Like a lot of stand-up comics are too. But because she's terminal, she gets this sense of you can do whatever you want from people, which has always been my life. People just kind of...
Is that built-in get-out-of-jail-free card?
Exactly. Yeah, right.
With special treatment.
Like,
right.
I'm gonna die, so fuck you.
Yeah, right.
And how do you not abuse that from time to time?
It's so hard not to. It really is. I think I say this... I do say this in my stand-up, and I think I say it in the pilot of Terminally Chill about how, like, I've never had to deal with consequences before. And like, you know, I've never like committed treason or anything, but I am 100% certain that if I did, I would be okay. Because anything that and it's fucked. Like, I don't agree with it. And I think that's kind of the point of what I want to show in this is like, I want an audience to feel conflicted about looking at this terminally ill leading character and being like, she's being a bitch right now. Like, because you can be sick and suck. Like, you can do both.
It's only one letter difference.
Right, yeah.
See, I don't know if you guys got, like, when I watched it, I didn't get that vibe that you were a bitch. Not one bit. I was just like, it was just
I
like,
can see...
this is just the kind of people I hang around with all the time. Like,
maybe because we're all from Philly and we're just used to that. Yeah.
Yeah, this is just normal for us. So
the second episode that's going to be, which will I guess be the first of this new, season that we're filming. We start filming on November 1st, so really soon actually.
Nice.
And we're filming 14 episodes, but the first one is all about what it's like to live in Philly, and it's all about exactly that. It's about the character of Kirsten Keen being on oxygen and then her doctor telling her she's well enough to try and be without it, and like the difference in the way people treat her before and after is like, and like just being like, oh, since when is Philly this mean? And it's like, it's always been this mean. You just look sick and nobody's mean to you. Like, no one's holding doors for you in Wawa if you aren't on an oxygen tank. They're actually purposefully slamming them in your face. And so the whole episode is called Go Birds and Go Fuck Yourself. And it's like all about what it's like the motto of Philly.
I love that.
Which is Philly's motto, as we know.
And this is why you didn't seem like a bitch to me, because I'm like, she's just saying what she feels.
Yeah.
Fuck it.
Thank you. Yeah.
that got me.
Yeah, Go Birds. That's what it's called. Go Birds and Go Fuck Yourself, because that's what Philly is all about. And, which I love. I fucking love where we live. Again, why I didn't want to film in LA, because I was like, we got to do it here.
Right. You can only
There's
get
an aura
Philly
about
in
it.
Philly. There's just you can't duplicate that.
Exactly. So I guess that was kind of my point of going into all of this, was like, I want to show, and the character does get a little, not a little meaner, but a little less patient with people, I think, and in a way that we really wanted the audience to feel conflicted, because you watch shows like Always Sunny, for example, and they're all bad people. That's the joke, right?
Yeah.
You love to hate them all. They all suck. Right. But I love the idea of an audience not knowing how to, feeling uncomfortable being like, she's being a bitch, like to saying that to the person they're sitting next to, like, and it's like, you can't say that. Look how sick she is, the poor thing.
Well, that's how I was beginning to feel, because I'm like, this chick's having a fucking rough day and she's just getting fucking shit on by everyone. And then like by the end of the second episode, I'm like, this girl's a fucking savage.
Yeah.
No, when Beck was doing his comedy set, that was dark.
Yeah.
That was like, I'm just staring at the TV like with like the super serious face.
You were like, don't fucking say that about her.
I'm gonna fuck this dude up.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, I wrote it about myself. So. It was the Comedy Central presents the roast of Kirsten Michelle.
And then Ralph not giving you food?
Yeah, disrespect. I know.
Yeah, that was
they're bros though.
In your house though.
They're bros. I know. Although I will say the actor who plays Ralph is the other actor from Philly. So if that doesn't already show in his performance, he and I are the only two who are actually like born and raised actors who live in Philly, and we were like, someone who plays this character has to be saying Philly because that's just what.
But
it's
you can
all
forgive
about.
him for that because he's just so oblivious.
I know, little sweet angel. I know. You saying all of this, I can't tell you the last time I saw the pilot. It might have been when I filmed the pilot. So you saying this, I'm like, oh yeah, Ralph. Yeah. He did make food, didn't he?
He did.
Yeah.
And it looked so good, and he explained it to you, and it was like.
He set it all up,
Yeah.
and then
he just
that
gave it
food was
back.
not for
This
you.
is he loves his back. Yeah. So basically, the rest of the season is them still being roommates, Kirsten and Beck, while being broken up. So that's kind of the idea. And we really wanted to make sure we didn't make it seem like it was going to be a will they, won't they? Like, we want to make sure everyone knows, like, they won't.
There's still like Post-its on everything.
Right, yeah, exactly. We don't want it to be one of those shows where it's like, oh, they're broken up, and then at the end they get back together because they realize that they were just being irrational. I want it to be clear, like, absolutely fucking not.
That's not what we do here.
No, she's way too good for him. There's no fucking way. Yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome.
So, how many episodes you have written for the next season? And
So
is it all like funded, like ready to go?
It's done. It's
awesome.
it's funded. It's frozen. So all the scripts are they're in pre-production. Directors are working on them with the videographers, making shot lists and all that. All the budget is completed. So we are going to be filming 14 episodes from November 1st to December 1st. So
Nice.
good amount. Yeah, it'll be full time, but then it'll be over. So I'm it's a lot of memorizing that I have to do right now, which you'd think it would be easy to memorize something you wrote, but it is actually so much harder because there's a lot of like, I don't remember if I kept that joke or did I cut it out, like
that's what would get me would be, did I cut that line? Shit, what do I say? And then by that point, of course, there's that awkward silence because I've been thinking while everybody else is waiting for me to say something.
That's the beauty of film, though, because when you do theater, you only get one chance to say your lines right, but when you do film, you get as long as you need. Yeah.
I know that feeling of trying to remember shit. At his wedding, I wrote like the best man speech, and like reading it was funny.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
But performing it,
mega bomb show.
No.
Total
Can you give me
bomb.
an example?
no.
I love a bomb. I love watching a
it
bomb.
was just, everything went out the window.
Right.
But in all fairness, I wrote it that day.
Oh, okay. So
So,
you put
like-
no effort into it.
Well, no.
That part I didn't know.
Okay.
No, so like,
Okay.
I wrote it like the day before and finished it that day while we were taking the pictures. And then I ran between the pictures and going to the venue. I went to Kinko's and printed it out.
No.
Yeah.
Wait, so did you...
I wasn't the best man either, but the best man wasn't writing a speech.
He didn't want to do the speech, so
last minute he
So
said
I
to
was
you-
like, fuck it, I'll do it.
Last minute? How much time did you have to prep that you were doing it the day of?
I don't remember.
I
I didn't have much.
We knew that we were going to do something though,
Right.
and it was going to be a fucking roast, and it was supposed to be hysterical.
Yeah.
And I think there was,
reading it was hysterical. Like if I would have executed it and just slam dunk, it
and
would've-
like
it would've killed.
our buddy Greg laughed, but he laughs at everything.
Okay, so Greg's not a good tell of what...
Well,
yeah.
but then
no,
I
that was a
think
bomb.
Greg was laughing because he knew that the ship was sinking and fast.
Yeah, once it gets bad enough, then it's funny
it
again,
was-
Exactly.
But it has to be bad enough. You have to then be like, well, this sucks.
the stages on the way
Right.
down. You start out at funny, then you drop down to not funny, and then you realize that you suck, and then it becomes funny again.
And then it becomes funny again. Yeah.
Really, what the issue wasn't being in front of people because I'm comfortable with that. It was not remembering what the fuck I wrote. And trying to I knew I had to kill it, so I was looking into the audience, and then I'm looking back on my paper, and I'm like, I forget where I was.
And the other thing is that not everybody knows Dan like we know him. So his family and stuff are like, what is happening? I remember
when I called him
watching
Jesus crust, that was
Yeah.
people were looking at me really, really weird.
what'd you get? What? And I remember watching because I stood with him. I was like, I'm not gonna let him bomb on his own.
That's a real one right
So-
there.
Straight
Wow.
up, friends.
We're childhood friends.
Okay, all right,
Yeah,
cool, yeah.
So, but I remember looking over at my wife at our table and looking in her eyes, and she's going, "Oh my fucking god!"
Watch. Yeah.
And his wife too. I just officiated a wedding. that guy Greg's wedding that we talked about, and
Reverend
she kept
Bill.
telling me, like, leading up to this, she's like, "Don't do any jokes."
She's like, I'm fucking begging you.
Remember the last time,
Yeah.
Bill. Remember the last time.
She's like, "Don't fucking stop."
So did you do jokes?
No.
Okay, cool.
No. I killed that.
Yeah.
That's for the best. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes there doesn't need to be jokes, like if you're officiating.
Right.
But in a best man speech, yeah, it is kind of
Absolutely.
assumed that there's going to be jokes.
Yeah, there has to be some humor in that.
Yeah.
And
But
again, if I know that if I would have just executed it properly, I would have killed it.
yeah, I guess you could probably recycle the same speech if you're ever a best man again, and then change the name and then try to see if they work better, the jokes.
Oh no, they're so dedicated to him. That
Yeah,
they
no,
would
they're
not
tailored
work.
to me.
They're tailored to him.
Even better. Just change the name. Yeah.
It makes no sense whatsoever.
Yeah.
But my whole point with saying that is just I get the whole like live. You got to be on.
It's
You
fucking
got to
hard.
remember that shit. Yeah.
It's hard, especially because when you do stand up, typically you're drinking a little bit at least. You shouldn't ever do stand up sober, but you shouldn't do it fucked up. And there's a really fine line, you know. Like I usually will always have before my shows a shot and a lager, and then I'll bring a lager on stage with me. So that's like a lager and a half with like a shot of tequila, and that's usually like my sweet spot. But then there's times I'll do that fucking formula and be like, this bitch didn't eat today, did she? And then it's all over. Or I ate too much and then I feel nothing and I'm way too sober to be up there, you know? So, but when you perform, when I'm acting or whatever, and it's a script, I of course act sober always, but when you're doing stand-up, it's like, even though it's still a script and I still wrote it, you need it to feel like it's the first time you've ever said these words, even though I do, I can do 4 open mics a week and say the same jokes 4 times, but it has to, the audience needs to feel like they're hearing this for the first time.
Yeah, it's got to all be brand new.
That's what gets them stoked, right? So there needs to be a certain level of like casualness, because you can tell when people are acting, when you see a stand-up comic who's being super performative. Like I used to have beef with that about, I went through a really big Dane Cook phase, and I'm out of it since I'm recovered, reformed. But I went through a really big Dane Cook phase when I was younger.
Can I just pause? Am I the only one who thinks that Eliza Schlesinger is the female Dane Cook?
Amen. Praise be. I have so much beef with Eliza Schlesinger. I don't understand what everything she does is, and excuse me if you guys love her, but everything she does is such a performance. Yeah. I don't buy it for a minute.
But I love Elder Millennial. I don't know if you watch that special.
I don't. Oh,
was
yes.
on the boat.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I have. Mm-hmm.
But she is the female Dane Cook.
She really is. Yeah.
100%.
Or I also think that about Amy Schumer too. I think Amy Schumer is
Not a fan.
Yeah, no, me neither. I think she's.
I like Eliza, not Schumer.
I think Amy.
Didn't
Schumer,
she steal jokes too?
She she did get heat for that.
Something about
She
that.
got
I don't know
smoked
what.
for that.
Okay.
I don't know what the jokes were, but yeah, I think it's funny. I actually just had a meeting today, and one of the producers was like, "We're meeting with a director, trying to give them a feel of like what you're like, because they're in LA, they can't meet you, and they wanted to know who are your 3 favorite female comics." And I was like, God, I feel like such a bad feminist right now, but there's very few female comics that I think are funny. And I feel awful saying that because I'm doing a show to promote females in comedy, and I just can really not think of any off the top of my head that I was like, fuck yeah, like I like them,
Well, that's why you got to do the show to promote females in comedy. You need better females in comedy.
I know. And it's funny because the girls who do get famous, like Amy Schumer, get famous for being like, I'm such a fucking slut, and you've never heard a girl talk about her vagina before, so I'm going to do it for the next 40 minutes.
Yeah, she said something
It's a
like,
shock value.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's like cheap humor.
I forget what the roast was, but it was like I guess like people from Jackass were there, and she had said something about the death of Ryan Dunn.
Oh my God.
And it was so recent, and I was like, if I was there, she'd get fucking beheaded.
Yeah. Read the room, sweetie.
Yeah.
Like
God,
that was
that's in poor
I
taste.
lost all respect from that. But like as far as female comics go, like I put like like Christina P up there.
Christina B. I saw her for the first time recently. I was helping teach a stand-up class in the in the suburbs for like people who've never done it before in Ambler. And one of the students told me about Christina B. I don't know how I never heard of her because she's what's his name's wife?
Tom Segura.
Tom Segura. Mm-hmm. She's so fucking funny.
Hilarious.
I forgot about her. You know what? I might have to text the producers that we just had this conversation a couple hours ago. But I said I really like. Do you guys know who Tig Notaro is?
Tig Notaro. Yeah.
First name Tig, last name Notaro. I know it's so weird. She was famous for doing. She was already like a comedian who was touring about maybe like 6 or 7 years ago, and then right before she was going on stage for one of her performances, she found out that she had cancer, and then just went up and like improv'd a whole show right there. She's such a queen. When I first started doing comedy, people were like, "You have to know who Tig Notaro is." She talks all about being sick.
Wasn't she in that new zombie movie?
New zombie movie? No, what was it?
What, the one that
Keep going. I'm sorry.
No, you're okay.
I'm sorry.
The one that Frank's an extra in?
Yeah.
I'm bummed that there's a new zombie movie I haven't heard of.
Army of the Dead. Yeah, she was. She was awesome in it too.
She's super talented.
She played like a helicopter pilot. She was a badass.
She's super talented. I've never really. Do you know who I'm talking
Watch
about?
Army of the
I
Dead.
was like, I know that name. I know that name. I had to Google it. I just had to. I couldn't.
She rocks. I think I like a lot of female comic writers, like who are actors, and I love like any NBC comedy. So I loved. You guys knew who Chelsea Peretti is?
Yeah.
She's on Brooklyn Nine-Nine. She's married to Jordan Peele, who makes of Key and Peele. I love her, but I felt so bad. They were like, who are your top 3? And I was like, I couldn't even give you like a top 1. I fucking suck. It's like I'm upset about men dominating comedy, and I'm over here like, let me list 30 men, and then myself. I'm my favorite female comic.
I like Esther Povitsky and Annie Letterman.
I, honest to God, don't know who either of those people
No?
are. I suck. Oh my God. I don't even put in the work to find better female comics.
Annie
I'm writing this
Letterman's-
down right now.
She's a mean motherfucker,
Yeah,
but
she
she's
was good.
awesome.
Who is it?
Annie Letterman,
Annie Letterman.
and then Esther Povitsky.
Esther Povitsky. Are they on Netflix?
Esther is on Paramount Plus.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, she has a special called "Too Hot for My Name," and I don't think Annie or "Hot for My Name."
I was going to ask, how old is she?
34, 35.
What?
But she looks young, really young. She's on a
But they
show
named-
called Dollface right now on
they named
Hulu
her-
with Kat Dennings.
I haven't-
Her parents named her Esther. Yeah.
on purpose.
Maybe they didn't like her.
I was going to say, they must have been pissed right out the bat.
I was going to say, you knew that you'd know she was in something with Kat Dennings.
Yeah.
You.
Oh my gosh. Wait, she looks like she's,
Yeah, I don't know when that was.
20,
Yeah.
18, 19.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
but that's like
wild.
a shot from her special.
I do not know how I've never heard of her. Okay, I'm definitely going to have to. Yeah, because I really do want more.
She's hilarious, and she has like a lot of cool content on her Instagram. She
Mm-hmm.
has this thing, Bring Back the Cream Savers, where she has these shorts of like trying to find somebody who has cream savers. So she's online, like on Craigslist, trying to find people selling
Like-
cream savers, like
Like what I'm thinking of, like the cream,
like
the cream
candy.
lifesaver.
Yeah, that your grandma has in her candy jar. She's like, what happened to cream savers? And then like she gets her parents involved. She calls them. She's like, Mom, what happened to cream savers?
No one knows.
Like no one knows.
There's
And
got
then-
to be like one last pack out there somewhere.
Right. Well, she finds it, and she's in bed with her boyfriend. She's like, "Can I borrow the car?" I'm going to get cream savers. She's like, "Don't do it. You don't even know who this person is." And then she goes and meets this guy selling cream savers, and they end up being like the dollar store brand. They're not even like, the real cream
What?
savers. Yeah, but it's all a whole like short thing that. It's all scripted, of course, but it's hilarious.
Damn. Oh, it is scripted. Okay.
It is scripted.
Okay,
Yeah, she's not
yeah.
really.
I thought you meant she like met up with someone
No.
in like a Home Depot parking lot, and this dude was like,
No.
His back
I heard
alley
you're looking
dealing
for cream savers. Yeah.
You got the stuff.
That is the candy that's been living in the recesses of my brain until this moment right here. So that I just short circuited when you said that. Cream savers.
What
wow.
about lemon Jolly Ranchers?
I don't think I eat Jolly Ranchers a lot. Like
Yeah,
at
you
home.
can get them in the
dude.
in
I had
the
one last
purple
night.
bag.
Right. Nobody remembers
No.
lemon Jolly Ranchers.
Is it like a Mandela
I
effect
remember
thing?
them.
Yeah.
Yeah, where it's like
But they're real life.
I'm not to look at the logo.
You can still get them, the lemon ones.
I know you can get them on Amazon.
Really?
Just
No.
lemon.
Just
No,
lemon.
oh, just lemon.
Just lemon. Yeah.
Here's
I didn't know
one.
you could get just lemon.
Do you guys remember? I asked this because my brother, he's just a couple years older than me. He just turned 30, and he I don't know why he's living in the past, but he is like obsessed with vanilla Coke. Do y'all remember vanilla Coke?
Oh, I drink vanilla Coke all the time.
Still?
Yeah.
Present day?
Yeah. We go to like fucking Qdoba and like
They have vanilla Coke?
in the Coke machine where you can pick
Oh,
all
the
your
specialty.
flavors.
You're right.
Yeah, but
okay.
they do sell it.
Okay, but if you were going to like a grocery store, you think that they'd have vanilla Coke?
Yep.
Really?
100%.
Well, I got to apologize to Brad then because I really thought it was extinguished. I don't know how he was getting. I thought he was getting them on like a back alley website.
Like, are they still good?
Yeah, right.
Are you sure those don't say 2004?
Right. Yeah. We've been actually working on a character trait, kind of like a thing that someone always does for the character of Ralph in Terminally Chill, where he is sober. He doesn't drink. He just never has. But he only drinks like craft or like fancy sodas that don't exist anymore. So he's like always drinking like Surge and RC Cola and
Nice.
That's awesome.
and not Fanta, Fresca.
Fresca.
Fresca's his like favorite drink of choice. And anywhere time he goes to a restaurant, they don't have it, so he brings his own.
It's funny that I remember him saying that in the episode.
He's like, "Can I get a Fresca up?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like I wasn't
He
even
improv
like,
that, so we're keeping it.
I didn't even know Fresca was gone.
I don't
And
know
I
that
didn't
it's-
even question that. I'm like, oh, the guy likes Fresca.
I don't know that it's gone, but wherever they only sell it wherever grandmoms buy their soda because I've never seen it in like a regular grocery store in a while. But when I was a kid, it was
It was a thing. It was
you
around.
thought that everyone had Fresca, but it was just your mom who had Fresca.
You're right, 100% right.
Yeah. Every grandmother had Fresca.
I remember when ginger ale was just a treat. Oh, you could have a treat. Here's a ginger ale.
Right? And you're like, what?
Excuse me?
I think my theory on that, though, is I think grandparents kept around really shitty sodas and really shitty candies so you wouldn't want soda and candy. 'Cause if there was good candy and soda around the house, you'd be drinking. If it was like Coca-Cola, you'd be drinking it all day.
Yeah, every 5 minutes. Like, yeah, can I have another one of those? Can I have
Right.
another one of those?
Yeah. So they had to. My grandmother always just had Diet Coke and Fresca in the house at all times. And when you're 6 years old, you're like, this is just like, I'd rather drink water. And in her
No.
mind, she's like, that's the idea.
There's a good logic
Yeah.
there.
Right,
I never
yeah.
thought about that.
Yeah. Don't
Yeah.
trust your grandmother.
Yeah. No kid's going to like butterscotch candies.
Yo, I know.
No, I fucked those butterscotch candies up, dude.
I know. When it was like after dinner and you were so deprived of any other sweets, you were like,
sure.
oh my God.
I'll take 10.
Yeah.
Shove them in my mouth like a fucking
Yeah.
chipmunk.
And those strawberry ones that have no name.
They don't have a logo. They just have the little picture of the strawberry on them.
Yeah,
Yep.
they look like a strawberry.
You can only get them at
The
like,
dollar store.
And when you leave like sit down Chinese restaurants, this is so specific. Do you know what I mean? They have them in a little bin when you get your toothpick.
Yep. That's great.
I know that's very specific, but like we all agree, right?
I
yeah.
can agree with that.
Sit down Chinese restaurants. They have that for days.
So we were talking about something. I forget how we ended up here.
Who gives a shit?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I'm gonna
Female
just go back to the
comedians.
conversation.
I don't know how we
Oh,
got
we're
here.
talking about
female
female comedians.
The little strawberry candy.
Yeah. Mhm. Yeah.
So, how do you feel about Nikki Glazer?
I honestly haven't seen enough of her stuff to have a hard opinion. I have heard there's people whose opinions I respect who say that she is good. So like I've taken it at that, but I've never really seen her stuff enough.
So, like, all the roasts, like the Comedy Central roasts that she's been on, she's been a straight savage. But I can't say whether or not
Dude,
she
she's
wrote
brutal.
her material.
She's
they usually
brutal
don't
on
for
a
the roasts.
few things that I've seen.
They usually don't write their own material for the roasts because it's similar to like an award show. You don't usually write your own jokes. But
Is there there's got to be something that hurts your soul as a comedian to not write your own jokes for that.
yeah, I think
That's
a lot
gonna
of the
be so
time
weird.
you get to write your own jokes, but it's also like when you're that famous, like you don't have to. You can honestly pay someone who's a little funnier than you to write it, and pay them $20 and they'll just be so happy. Yeah. When they do award shows, I know for a fact that people don't usually write their own jokes. Usually you have a ghostwriter. But those roasts, I've been getting really into them recently. We did this thing for Terminally Chill on Instagram. I didn't think it was going to take off, but I'm really into roast. Roast comedy is like my ideal comedy. I would love one day, if I make it to like 30, my dream is to have a roast, like people to roast me. Like I love getting roasted. can't stand when people can't take jokes and like can't roast themselves. Like I live for that shit. And I was doing on Instagram this thing where I said, if you donate this much money to Terminally Chill, $5, whatever, I will roast you. And in my mind, I was like, no one's going to want to get roasted, right? Because like, I'm an actual comedian, and like I feel like people are gonna get hurt. And I went to school with the most sensitive little flowers you've ever met because I went to acting school, and so we're all sensitive. And so I was like, this isn't gonna take off. I raised like a little over $1,000 on $5 roasts. That many people wanted me to. I had to close it. I was like, this is exhausting. But
that's great.
To get some inspiration, I started watching all of the Comedy Central roasts. I went on YouTube and was watching. And not that it really matters who they're roasting, because they roast everyone,
right?
No matter what. But the I think my favorite one was the roast of James Franco.
Oh yeah, that was a great one.
Just because he has really good close friends, and they were all really brutal on each other. Oh, and the Rob Lowe. Rob Lowe's roast was they fucking went in on him for fucking a 16-year-old when he was like 20, which like good on him. Like they should be getting roasted for that, but like. Yeah, I really like the roast comedy, and I think that's also how I got introduced more to that's how I got like really into Nick Kroll's comedy on his own. Yeah. I've always really liked Nick Kroll. He was a huge part on Parks and Rec. I liked his acting. He obviously was in Big Mouth. He and Mulaney made together. They had a Broadway show together. So I've always thought he was really funny.
There's a new season of that coming out too.
There is a new season of Big Mouth?
It's coming out soon, I think in November.
He's the one who does them Philly skits, right?
Huh?
He does those Philly skits, right?
Yeah, Pennsylvania.
Yeah. Yep. I never watched the Kroll show though, and after I started watching all the
I didn't care for the Kroll show. I've always been very back and forth with Nick Kroll.
Really?
Like nothing against him or anything.
Yeah.
But like I'm very back and forth with him. But whatever.
That was kind of the first time I heard him speak, and he wasn't acting. I mean, he was to a certain extent because he was doing jokes that maybe someone else wrote for him. But watching those roasts, I was like, damn, these people are absolutely fucking brutal. The ones where they were roasting Pete Davidson for his dad dying in 9/11.
Yeah.
Oh my fucking God. I could not believe. I was like, the balls you have to have. I mean, I guess I don't know that I've ever seen somebody who's being roasted get like actually upset at one of the jokes. I think even if they are, they have to pretend that they're not, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean
but he does it to himself like a majority of the time.
Yeah, he definitely does.
Like he had said something that I guess it was Bieber's roast, saying about how he met Justin Bieber's dad, and now he's glad that he's like now I'm so glad that mine's dead after meeting your dad. I was like, holy shit.
Yeah, I remember that one.
I don't know. I guess if you've only followed me on Instagram, have you seen any of my like 9/11 stand-up?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, that's the one I saw. I want to ask you about that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, so I am a survivor of 9/11. I used to live next door to the World Trade Centers, and I lost everything on 9/11. We moved back to Philly afterwards, but doing 9/11 stand-up is a hot topic. Like I just had a show 3 weeks ago, and it was a big show. I was headlining. It was a 30 almost 40-minute set, and it was on the 20th anniversary of September 11th. And I'm not going to cut my usual set. Like that's part of my set.
Right.
It's already so hard to convince people though that it's true. I'm not just like making a joke, you know?
Yeah.
So convincing them that, because I was like, I do this all year round, but it just happens to be that today's the 20th anniversary. Holy shit, it took a minute. People got on board, but like there was like a thick silence in the room for the first like 30 seconds of these jokes.
Were you worried about that going into it? Like, I'm going to fucking lose everyone here.
Yeah.
I really was. My mom was there, and so I always make a joke like my mom's here, like she can confirm, like it's her story and her trauma too, but I guess it was the microphone, right? And so like I always do a bit about like, usually my mom audibly is like, yep, like she says like this happened. But it took a minute for people, and 30 seconds of silence doesn't seem like a lot.
Oh, that's like an hour and a half on stage.
In stage years, it's so fucking much.
Again, I know that feeling.
Yeah, you absolutely get it. Yeah. Yeah. So it's hard. Every fall, it's usually really hard because sometimes I'll be doing shows around September, but especially being the 20th anniversary, everyone's talking about it. It's on the news all day, and then people come to a comedy show. Yeah, it did go over well, but it took them a while to warm up. Some people still were like,
That's crazy. How do you make out in the way of like cancel culture and all that stuff? Do you ever get any pushback from, in 9/11 comedy?
No, but I think just because I'm talking about my own experience,
Yeah.
like same with, I think let's say I weren't actually doing stand-up about it. I was like maybe writing a joke about it, but it wasn't me,
Right.
that would be...
Or if you weren't there.
Yeah, exactly. People would be like heated, I think. But I think the fact that I start off by saying like, I have very severe PTSD. I've been in intensive therapy my whole life from this. Like kind of like... And I think also because we live in Philly, nobody else really has an experience with 9/11. It's usually just me in the room. Everyone else was like here in Pennsylvania when that happened.
Yeah.
And I was like literally touching the building when it got hit by the plane, like directly next to it. And so if anybody did get offended, I guess someone was like, who the fuck are you to get offended? Like, who are you offended for? Like people who survived 9/11. So me, like you're offended for me. Yeah.
Right. And especially like at comedy shows, like they should have a sign on the door, like if you're easily offended, turn the fuck around.
You shouldn't come to a comedy show.
Right.
But people really glorify themselves, I've noticed. People think that they're cool and they can take jokes until the minute comes where they have to take a joke. And then all of a sudden they're like, well, that was just, not great. I had a woman come up to me after the first time I ever did my 9/11 set, and she was like an old woman, and I was doing it at a comedy club in Philly, and she came up to me after the show, and she must have really just thought that I was just making these jokes, or maybe she thought like I was in New York but I wasn't actually physically touching the building right then. And so she pulled me aside and was like, I just want you to know, like, my friend's daughter was there that day, and like she didn't die, but she was like, my friend's daughter was there that day, and like it was a really serious thing. It's not something to joke about. And I was like, yeah, I guess I was also there that day, and I agree.
Weren't you listening?
Yeah. But some people just hear the first thing that's going to upset them, and then they don't listen to the rest because they've already decided they're upset.
Yep.
And there's no redemption. So the way that I have to preface it is like, the way I present it in my stand-up, it took me many tries to figure out how to phrase it, because I don't just say like, here's my story on 9/11. I tell the whole story, and then I mention that it was 9/11. So I always say like, one morning my mom and my brother and I, we were late to school. Everyone was already in school. We just happened to be late that day. And we were walking next to the building, and I always say like, we were standing next to a building and an airplane flew into the building we were standing next to. So that's, I never say 9/11. I just say that. And then I'm always like, you might have heard about it. I'm pretty sure it was on the news. But I think if I started off with like, the craziest thing that ever happened to me as a kid was 9/11. Let me tell you about it. But I think if I preface it with like, this is my walkthrough of the day, as surprised as you are to hear that a plane hit the building, imagine being there. Like, I also couldn't believe a plane hit the building.
So you were literally right next to the building.
Literally like in the distance that you and I are from each other. Yeah. It was such, what do you call it? Like Murphy's Law, like whatever a kid.
Anything that can go wrong will
Because
go
it's like,
wrong.
what are the fucking odds, right?
Yeah.
Like, I was supposed to be in school that day. We lived just right next to the Trade Center, so when it fell, it fell on our house, so we like lost everything, so we had to move. But then we were supposed to already be in school. We just happened to be late that day. Happened to have left when we left. Like, we could have, taken the stairs instead of the elevator, and we probably would not have been, to get out of our building, probably would not have been right there. Or we could have left 2 minutes earlier and would not have been right there. But it was like the absolute perfect situation, or like the opposite of perfect. But, everything that could have lined up poorly did. And so then we were directly next to it. But honestly, when you're that close, you have no idea what's going on because you can't see anything, So it wasn't super like, it wasn't like those videos you see of people like holding a camera from far away and, of the skyline, and you see the plane crashing. It was like, you had no idea. We were like, was that construction? What was that? Just like a big fire all of a sudden.
Right,
so
and shit's falling from the sky.
Exactly. Right. Yeah. And then, and I was really little. I mean, I was 7. So yeah, it was kind of like my mom, because people are always like, oh, how did your mom explain it to you? And it's like, no one, she didn't even know, right? Because we didn't have terrorist attacks really prior to that. So now if something happened, our immediate instinct would be like, it's a terrorist attack. It's a, but nobody would have thought that. Everybody thought it was an accident in New York. We were like, did you see that plane accidentally flew into that building? And then it was like, oh, wait, there's no way it happened again. Like, that'd be crazy. What are the fucking odds? Yeah.
Yep, I was late for school that morning.
Yep.
I remember, like, the news was on. My mom's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And we thought it was an accident, too. But, like, I remember watching the news, and then, boom, here comes the second one.
Yep. And a lot of times I know from footage, I haven't seen a lot of footage from it, but I know that a lot of the cameras were on the building because they were filming the aftermath. And then they saw the second one go in. Right. And that was on live TV.
Do you tend to stay away from, like, the footage and stuff?
Yeah. So I have, like I said, I have very severe PTSD from it. I've always been pretty medicated for it. But definitely I have trouble with not so much like images of it, but like noises. I have a lot of trouble with loud noises just because like that was the loudest noise I've ever heard in my entire life and like probably will ever hear, right? Like insanely loud. But I'm not super scared. Like I still fly. My parents are divorced and my dad was supposed to like take my brother and I to Disney World September 18th of that year. And we still went because my mom was like, if they don't get on a plane now, they're never going to get on a plane again. So like they have to go now and just like face that fear. Because if they wait a while, because I still know people who were like, I still don't like flying or I still don't fly because of things I've seen. And it's like, I was lucky enough to not have to worry about that. But yeah, I struggle with like noises and crowded areas. I don't do well with like football games or like tailgates, anything where there's like a fuck ton of people. I'm always
so you don't do like concerts or like festivals,
yeah,
or stuff like that.
I will if I'm drunk enough, but if I'm high, forget it. Because I think also anyone who's high is already like, I don't like being in huge crowded places. But then I'm like, last time I was in the huge crowded place like this, it did not go well. So
to be fair, stone cold sober, I hate being around tons of people. Like I can't. I'm like, all right, so. Or there's an exit over there. If I start making my way now, I can be out of here in under 5 minutes.
Exactly. And that's, I'm so glad to hear I'm not the only one like that, though, because were you there on 9/11 too? That's crazy. No. I've always been like that. My mom's like that, too. Like I can't even imagine, I was 7. I can't even imagine being, I think she might have like just turned 30 and had 2 kids to like, take around and like get out. So, like, good on her. I don't know how she does it, but, like, she still is very much like that because I'm sure her memory is even more intact of that day because I was little. She's still, anytime we go anywhere, like, she knows where the exits are. She's like a doomsday prepper all of a sudden, but not in any other way. Like, just in the way of, like, if we're out places, I can always see her being like, yeah, we could get out that way. All right.
As soon as she steps in the room, she's scoping things
right, I was
out.
like she's in the fucking military. I'm like, people are not out to get you. 9/11 was not a snipe on you, Sherry.
I think that's just a trait that you get like once you're a mom. Because
that's a good point. Yeah,
I noticed like my wife does that too. Like she's always like counting the people, and looking around, like I could definitely take that motherfucker.
Yeah, right. That's so true. Once you become a mom, you're so intense. Like you, yeah.
My mother's pretty paranoid about shit. She called me like 3 a.m. one day. And it's her and my sister. They live together, and I'm only telling this story because she's never going to listen to it.
That's perfect. I won't tell her.
Please don't.
Yeah.
I'll have to deal with the rest of my mother, and that's not a good rat to deal with. No. They know. But my sister sends me a message and says, there's a bunch of lights above our house. We don't know what to do. I'm scared. And I'm like, I wake up to this. It's 3 a.m, so I'm dead asleep. And then I have this like big joke that there's this baby picture of me where I have just black eyes, and I'm like, I'm an alien.
Doll's eyes.
No, I'm an alien. Like my alien family came to take me when or dropped me off and took your real baby. That's what I tell my mom.
And there's lights above the house, so this is not going well.
And then I said to my sister, "Oh, that was my family coming to get me." That's my response back. And then my sister like hates me. She's like, "Can't you ever be fucking serious about anything?"
You're telling me there's a UFO above the house? No, I'm not going to be serious.
Right. How could I ever be serious about that?
Did they ever get to the bottom of the UFO?
No. So my mom lives near Boeing. Yeah. So yeah, I'll read you the messages.
Yeah.
This is at 3:54 in the morning. Yo, has any strange, loud, constant noises been going on around my mom's house? Sounds like a plane, but much stronger and constant because it's been going on for hours around our house. Mom looked out her window and saw a bunch of lights in the sky and lights in one long line. And she says it's no plane, absolutely not. She says it looks like spaceships. I'm shaking right now. We're both scared. And I said, my family has returned to me. with that gif.
And I bet she didn't care for that shit at all.
She says, man, that shit ain't funny. You're sick.
Yeah.
And then I sent that.
That's you going right up.
Yeah.
She's a strong woman, dude, because we mess with her bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Real bad.
She's a good sport. She really is.
She can get roasted. Okay.
By me.
Heard. Okay.
Maybe by Vinny. She hates him.
No, she can't stand me. I'm not allowed in the house.
Because-
I don't even want to stand out front.
Because we fist fought over a scooter when we were 10.
And
I don't
you
even think
forgave
we
him,
were-
but she has not.
We were
Yeah.
fine the day.
Yeah, that was fine.
That's such a family thing. When you have something that happens with one person and your parents never forget it, or your siblings, they'll always hold that against them, and it's like, I've moved on. Why are you still holding a grudge? Yeah.
Right. But I mean, we have stories he became ordained and was like, oh, now that I'm doing this, we're gonna start like a throuple type thing.
Yeah, that's
and
perfect.
And I'm gonna get married to him, plus my wife, plus his girlfriend, and we're just all gonna marry each other. And
Okay.
it's gonna
And
be
I went on. Yeah, I called my mom. I went on forever about it. And she's like, "You guys are fucking sick, Vinny. You're gonna let him marry your wife?" And Vinny's like, "Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck it.
Absolutely.
100%.
Although, actually, is that legal in Pennsylvania?
Probably not.
It has to. Where's the state where they have the?
But I'm an
sister
ordained
wives?
minister, so I'm just gonna make it fucking happen.
Right.
Yeah. You can. I mean, you can do that. I don't think the law will back you up, but you can marry anyone, right?
Marry anybody at
Yeah.
any time.
That's a lot of power.
There's a lot of power.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then he's like, yeah, and then every other week, me and Vinny are gonna switch.
Right. We're gonna switch wives.
That's so beautiful.
You know what, Bill? You're fucked up. He's like, yeah, well.
That's so beautiful. Love is love.
You made me. But the whole topic of conversation's been about these lights.
Yeah.
And she's like, haven't you seen on TV? There's aliens. And I'm like, yeah, TV.
Yeah. Yeah.
Scripted television.
Right.
People have to write these shows, and they don't just.
Yeah.
You don't know the legitimacy behind anything you're watching.
Right. Yeah. That's and honestly, it's even if there are aliens, which I do think to a certain extent there are, maybe not the way we think of aliens.
100%. I think there is
Yeah.
living creatures. We'd be selfish to not think that.
It's exactly what I was going to say. How fucking full of ourselves that we're like, if they were aliens, they'd obviously want to come meet us. No, they fucking wouldn't. We're so dumb compared to them.
I just saw. I think I saved it. It's a little family wearing pumpkin bikinis, and they're like, "This is why aliens have not come to see us."
Right.
Yeah, right here.
This is why
This
they
is why
said
the
no.
aliens have not contacted
Oh
us.
my god, that's exactly
And
it.
I looked,
yeah.
I'm like, yeah, that's fucking
That's
it.
exactly right.
That's so bad.
Yeah, how full of ourselves are we that we're like, yeah, of course they'd want to come learn what we have to teach them.
No, if they can get here, they can view us from where they're at.
I was gonna say that's what most UFO sightings theoretically are, right? Is them looking but not interacting.
Right.
Like they're gonna do a little flyover, get some market research, and then get the hell out of here.
Right.
They're not
Because
gonna
what are
come-
we
They
gonna
said,
do?
"Oh,
We're not
hell no."
gonna hang out and fucking play poker with them.
Right.
We're gonna kill them.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
We're gonna cut them up and
I was
figure
gonna
out what's
say.
inside of them.
Exactly.
That's what we
the
do.
first one here is getting dissected.
It
Yeah.
reminded me
You know
it just reminded me of that fucking Little Dicky
Little
song.
Dicky song.
They'd have to do research. They'd
You
have
ever
to
see that?
No, I
video?
haven't.
Oh, okay.
What is it?
But
We'll have to show you after.
Oh no. I was gonna say they'd have to do research on which are the nicer states in America, because you wouldn't want to come to Philly or New York or Boston. You wouldn't.
No.
That wouldn't be kind to visitors. You wouldn't want to go to Texas, where everybody has a gun. You'd probably want to go to
Nowhere.
yeah, Wyoming. You know,
You'd
they
want to go to
You-
Canada.
I was gonna say, yeah, you'd want to go to Canada.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'd want to go to Canada for sure. You'd have to pick a state where everybody's just genuine, the Midwest. I think people in the Midwest are really nice, aren't they? You go to like Missouri, Kansas City. Am I wrong?
The South, Southern hospitality.
Yeah, right.
Wisconsin.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Go to Wisconsin.
Wisconsin. I don't think anybody's mean in
I
Wisconsin.
just think of that Back to the Future part where Marty McFly comes back to like 1955 for the first time, crashes into that dude's shed, and he comes out with a shotgun. Like,
Yeah, that's why you wouldn't want to go too deep into the South. You'd want to
Yeah.
stay in like the Carolinas. I think would be like a good like hospitable place to go.
I still think no matter where you go, if you're a fucking alien,
Yeah.
nobody's inviting you in for coffee and cake.
But on what grounds do you think that aliens look different? Like, don't you think that they could have the technology to just look like us?
100%.
Yeah. So I don't think you'd come down looking like a green ass cartoon alien. I think if you're gonna come down, you're gonna look like a normal person.
Elon.
By the
Elon Musk. There we go.
I was gonna say we've all seen Bezos, right? Yeah. You have to look. Honestly, now that you say that about Elon Musk, and I've always thought that about Bezos, I'm like, is that how these people are so smart and so rich because they're aliens? Because also, have you ever like seen Zuckerberg, like in like the real Zuckerberg, not like the one from The Social Network, like pictures of actual Mark Zuckerberg? He looks like an alien too.
They have a whole bunch of memes when he's like in court.
Yeah.
And he looks so creepy.
Yeah, he has no light behind those eyes at all. He has those black, like a doll's eyes. Yeah.
So there was something just in the news today from that whistleblower chick on 60 Minutes. I don't know the whole story, but
I was
Oh, the
watching-
Facebook thing.
yeah. So I guess Zuckerberg's getting zucked right now.
He's getting
Zucked.
sucked in the ass right
Yeah.
now.
That's the next meme coming up. You got zucked.
You got zucked, bitch. Haven't we all already gotten zucked at this point? If you have a phone, you've been zucked.
Yeah.
Sucked in and-
So then, like with the whole outage today of like Facebook and Instagram and stuff was down, I was like, what are they trying to hide?
Yeah, right.
What are
Very
they?
Oh,
convenient.
I didn't even think about that. I didn't even
Yeah.
put two and two together.
Yeah, somebody at my job was like, "Oh, it looks like they got hacked." I was like, "Bullshit! They're shutting that motherfucker down and deleting whatever the fuck they can." Right. now."
I was
Right.
wondering why my shit wasn't working today.
Yeah, because I heard about
There's
the
my picture.
Oh my god, it literally looks like you know that monologue in Jaws, the one I'm talking about, right? Where the guy's like black eyes, like a doll's eyes. That's you right now.
Yeah, I know.
These fucking babies' eyes.
So I'm at my aunt's house, right, in Georgia, and I'm like looking at her mantle. Mm-hmm. She comes down the basement where I was staying, and I'm like, "Who's that?" Mm-hmm. She's like, "It's you." And then I take a picture of it, I send it to my mom. I'm like, "Is this me?" She's like, "Yeah." It's like, "I'm a fucking alien."
Like you kept me after that.
Right. Those are black eyes.
They are
Yeah.
actually. That is actually really kind of crazy.
Right.
Alien or the fucking Antichrist. One of
Yeah.
them.
That's one of those pictures where if you look at it, he's following you around the room.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep, that's
And at night, you have to like leave a light on in that room or else he's going to come out.
wherever
what's
you
the
wake
matter?
up, that picture's next to
It's
you.
Bill.
Yeah.
He's watching me.
He's, I can feel him. Yeah.
So I
love
still give her shit about it all the time. Like
Yeah.
I'm an alien.
Dude, that's crazy.
I love that.
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
So I wanted to talk about your oxygen tank. So you said you need that sometimes. No. Because
Me
I
too,
like
yeah.
watching that
He's
show.
going straight at it.
Yeah.
I'm going straight.
I love it.
He's like, so that fucking thing in your nose, let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Get
I had
rid
to
of it.
stop
Yeah.
for a good 5 minutes when I read your Twitter bio and
Yeah.
saw oxygen enthusiast.
I am.
It's just it got me because I love the fact that you can make jokes like that.
Yeah.
It's great.
I love oxygen, yeah. Real snob for it.
And I was waiting for this. I was wondering if Bill was going to be like, "Oh, what flavor is it?"
Yeah. it's like a jewel, yeah.
So in the show, you use it all the time. In real life,
In real life, it's not all the time. I would say, I mean, this past year's, I have, like I said, I haven't really gotten very sick because I have not been exposed to people or germs. So, like, in a typical year, I would say I may be on it for like a couple months out of the year. Maybe sometimes I'll go off of it and go back on. I'll be in the hospital a couple times a year, always, and then with like a lung infection. And then instead of having to stay in the hospital until it gets better, because at a certain point, they're just going to give me IVs and oxygen, and I can do that at home.
Right.
So I have I usually get I have scars all over my arms, but it's called a PICC line. So it's like an IV, but it's surgically put in, so it can last. An IV lasts like a couple days. This lasts like up to 6 months. So I do my own IVs and everything, and you'll see I usually have like a bandana tied around it, like a fucking crip, or a blood. I don't know. Yeah.
Don't tie the wrong collar.
I was gonna
on.
say yeah. And so then they'll just send me home on my medicine, so I can just do my own IVs, and then on oxygen, so I don't have to like just sit in that fucking hospital bed for months, because there's nothing I can do that I need to do there that I can't just do at home.
Right.
But then I'm walking around with I usually have my oxygen in a backpack. My insurance now covers the backpack, but usually in life I was doing the whole ass like wheeling one, which I have in the show, which sucks. But recently I got the backpack, which is great because I can work. I've always been a bartender. I can like bartend with my oxygen on, which is wild for people to see.
You doctor it up, make it look like a jetpack or
something. Right.
That's season 2, right?
I was going to say, it always makes people do it. I mean, no exaggeration, the best tips of my life when bartending on oxygen. Like people, no joke, they throw money at you. I would get every single check. Even if I was not giving good service because we were busy or whatever, I would get like 60% tip every single time. The people just felt, and especially because if they have kids, like if I'm serving, not bartending, kids like have to point it out loud because kids are so fucking crazy. So.
Right. Is this? I'm sorry to interrupt.
No.
Is this in a smokeless bar as well?
No, it's a smoking bar. No, I would literally explode.
I was about to say, like, can you not do that right here?
Speaking of explode, I have a pitch for the series finale.
I'm listening.
You're walking around with your backpack oxygen in Philly, and you get shot in the oxygen tank, and you blow up. Because it's in Philly.
You killed her. You already killed her.
And it explodes.
It's like when they get the tank in the shark's mouth and jaws.
I was gonna say,
just go for the tank.
Fucking blow it up. I thought you were gonna say someone tries to jump me and like take my backpack, and I'm like, no.
And then you just suffocate on the ground.
Yeah.
That's dark.
The slowest, most pathetic death in the world.
I didn't see that coming at all.
Yeah, right. Wait, that's actually yours is better, and it's higher budget, but it's better. I like it.
Maybe you're walking with Beck.
Yeah.
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 And you're holding hands, and he blows up too because he's a prick.
Yeah.
And I fucking hate him.
Yep, he blows up. I like getting out of the hospital. Like I remember getting into a car like a couple years ago, and my boyfriend picking me up, and he smokes cigarettes, which in itself is insane, hilarious to me that we will walk down the street together, me on oxygen and him smoking a cigarette. I'm like, do you see the looks you're getting? Because you deserve every fucking last one of them. And he picked me up from the hospital, and he had never like been around me on oxygen before, and immediately lit a cigarette in the car. And I was like, do you know how fucking flammable I am? I was like, are you fucking kidding me? And his face was like, I never even thought of that. We literally would have blown up. Like, actually, honest to God.
So,
Do you know how flammable
do you
I am?
want me to put it out?
Yeah, I'm so fucking I took it out of his hand and threw it out.
That's a tattoo idea.
Yeah.
Highly flammable.
Highly flammable, yeah. Highly flammable. It's funny, too, because when working in restaurants, I couldn't really go in the too far into the kitchen because there's open flames. So I would be like, if I need to ask the chef a question, I'd be like, can you come here? To this area? I have to be careful. But yeah, little kids have to they have to say something. Legally, they can't not.
We have young kids. We know.
Yeah, you got it. And parents are mortified, pre-mortified when they see me coming over to be their server because they know their kid's gonna say something.
I've heard the shit he says at home, man. We're screwed.
And I would see parents see me coming over and look at their kids and be like, I swear to God, if you fucking embarrass me right now.
One word. You're going to spend a week
and within
in your
3
room.
seconds, I'd be like, hey, I'm Kirsten. I'll be taking care of you. What's in your nose? That's a fair question. But then you get better tips because the parents feel bad. You know, they're like, oh, we're so sorry. Yeah.
You should get real sad after that.
I know.
Make the tips double or triple. Use it to your advantage.
Oh my God, where did this thing fucking come from? What the fuck was that?
How long's that been there?
Did you do this? Yeah, so I am often on oxygen, not always. Like I said, there's a lot of comedy that comes with the way I'm treated when I'm on it and when I'm not on it, just because if I'm not on oxygen or I'm not on my IV, you wouldn't know I'm sick.
Then you have to live like the rest of us.
Yes, and it fucking sucks. Like, my condolences for you guys. I don't know how you do this.
Currently, you're in your peasant form.
Yes, exactly. I kid you not.
Put on that crown and you're fucking royalty.
I was gonna suddenly you are bowing at my feet. I park on the street in Philly, obviously, and I have handicap parking, and I parked a handicap spot. And 3 days ago, I still probably have the note in my car. Someone saw me get out of my car and hand wrote a note to me, like, "Who do you think you are in a fucking handicap spot? What handicap person did you take your sign from that you get to park in a handicap spot?" Because everybody thinks, like, well, I'm not handicapped, right? This happens constantly. I get bitched out all the time from people. And I'm like, if I were on my oxygen, you'd be fucking singing a new tune right now. But all of a sudden, you look like I look healthy, you know? So it's like...
You should always keep it in your car.
That's
and then
what
when
my
people
mom
just start
says.
talking shit, you don't say anything. You just walk over, pop your trunk, pop it on, put it in...
I know, my mom's like, you should...
Those are the type of people that never get reprimanded for not minding their own fucking business.
No, they love other people's business because they don't have business of their own. They're people who sit on the stoop all day just waiting for something to happen, and they're like, "Fuck yeah, this little bitch."
Like, we're the type of dudes, like, if we see the sign, it's like, if you park there and the sign's up, seems legit.
Yeah.
Like,
Yo,
perfectly fine.
Right.
My neighbor, right? My neighbor calls the township for everything. There's like a piece of trash out back. She's calling the township. She calls so much that they're like, "Hello," I'm not gonna say her name, but they're like, "Why are you calling again? This is the 6th day in a row you've called." And she paid for a handicap spot outside of her house. Her mom's handicapped, but she doesn't even let her mom park in that handicap spot. She parks in it.
Because it's for her. See, and it's funny you say
She uses
that.
her mom's handicap to get that.
It's funny you say that because another thing that people don't understand is, like, you can call and ask to get a handicap thing put in on your street, but it's not yours. Like, anyone can park there.
Right.
People get so mean to me about it. They're like, "That's my handicap spot." I get reamed out, like, verbally. "That's my handicap spot. You're not even handicapped and you're parking here." And I'm always like, I love their faces because usually people who are using handicap spots that I see are just it's because they're old, right? It's not usually because they have like a disease or anything. Usually they're old, they have trouble walking, which is like totally fine. But I just love, I never actually like come back and say anything, but like, when you're in the shower and you like relive an argument you had and you're like, "God, I would have said this and it would have been so fucking cool." Would have been so baller. I'm always like, damn, I really just want to say to them one day, like, "I'm literally going to die before you are. Like, I am actually sicker than you. I know it doesn't look it, but like, just because you're old, like, you are going to outlive me." So I don't want to hear it, but I never say that because I'm absolutely terrified of confrontation. I will never have an argument with anyone in my life.
So, well, especially living in South Philly, like, I'm sure the winter times are hectic. With people shoveling out their spots and
and
their
that's
chairs are
different.
out there.
Living in
Killer.
Philly, it's probably a good idea you just shut your fucking mouth and don't say nothing.
That's exactly what. I try never to park in the handicap spots unless I'm really sick or like right now, I'm breathing fine. I can, I'll be fine if I park a little far away from my apartment, but if I'm really sick, I do, park there. But in the winter, people, for those who are listening, if you don't live in Philly, the big thing in Philly is shoveling out your spot. And then putting a fucking plastic chair there. And everyone respects the rules.
On a not so great note.
People have been shot for moving those chairs.
Yeah, oh my God.
Well, I was going to bring that up.
Uh-huh.
So there was a story that happened, I guess it was last year in Wilkes-Barre, where there was an argument over a shovel space.
No.
And it was like a younger kid yelling at like an older, not very old, but like, I guess like a husband and wife, like in their 50s. And they were bickering back and forth, and the kid actually went into his house and got a gun.
Yeah, and blew them the fuck
What?
away.
Yeah.
Both of them?
And shot them both.
And then went and shot himself.
How old of kid are we talking?
I say kid, but I'm thinking he had to have been maybe 21.
Oh, okay.
Early
22.
20s.
Okay,
But he was an adult.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
so
Got it.
I mean, like, and he even like came back out with a rifle for more. after the
A
fact.
fucking rifle?
Yeah, and he
ran out of rounds and then went back in and got more.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
And they were already on the ground, like dying.
So
yeah.
that had nothing to do with the spot. That
And
has
it-
everything to do with he's a fucking psychopath.
Psycho, yeah.
Exactly.
So, and he even came out to the woman who was like, "You should have kept your fucking mouth shut," and like, Jesus Christ.
Oh my god.
And I showed my wife this video. She's like, "I'm not going to be able to," because she's the type of person like, if you look at her the wrong way, she's going to be like, "The fuck are you looking?"
Oh, is she?
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
which is why I love her, because you know
Uh-huh.
I don't ever have to be tough for her. She's tough for herself.
I love that.
But now she's like, I can't just fucking flip out at people anymore, because that could have fucking very well been me
Yeah.
arguing with somebody. She's like, I ain't fucking getting killed over a fucking parking space.
That's why I have a special level of just not giving a fuck about anything.
Yeah.
Like, be angry. I don't care.
I care
parking
so
spot.
much. It's embarrassing. Like I go out of my way to pretend I don't care about anything because I'm like, look, I'm such a fucking bad bitch, and my fucking jaw's shirt and my leather skirt. But I'm like, if you look at me the wrong way, I'll give you a gift card to say I'm sorry. Whatever I did, I am so sorry. There's nothing I want less than confrontation. So good on your wife for being able to do that.
Yeah, I think now she's a little scared. She's like, I can't just,
Yeah.
act out or whatever. But yeah, somebody could give her a dirty look in a fucking Walmart, and it's like, you want to
It's
go right now?
Dude, she's calmer than she used to be. She used to be like,
Hot. She used to just be like,
she would go after
She had a hot
people.
button that
Yeah.
was exposed constantly.
Yeah.
I really respect that. Like when you just have the level of being able to just say whatever you're thinking. That's a goal in life, to just
know.
be able to be like,
I know
yeah.
a few
But then
people
you do
are.
hear those stories of people who get like shot for mouthing off at someone in traffic or something, and you're like, okay, yeah.
Yeah, well, she's mellowed out recently in the last 2 years from her own herbal essence, I should say.
Oh, good for her. I was gonna say, I think though that's actually what makes me care so much more is that I'm always high, and I'm always like, I know I don't know that person, but I think they're mad at me. I'm gonna go apologize.
How do you deal with hecklers?
Oh, that's a good question. I honestly don't usually get hecklers when you're talking about being terminally ill.
Nobody heckles the girl with the oxygen.
Nobody heckles the girl at the oxygen tank. If I do, I mean, there's
That's
times.
another one of those moments where you got to keep the oxygen tank close,
At
because then if
all
somebody
times.
starts talking shit, just stop talking, walk over,
Yep.
bring it up next to you, put it on, and then continue your set.
Like, did you have anything else? No.
One word.
Here we
What's
go.
that?
Really?
No, I know. Yeah, I really don't really get hecklers, because I guess the things, if I don't do my CF set, like depending on how long my set is, I usually will throw in a couple like 9/11 jokes. So typically, I guess there's the sense of like, oh, this poor thing, like this sweet girl. So it's like I don't typically get hecklers, but I would love hecklers. That's the only time I feel like I get to be a badass. Like the aesthetic that I pretend to be is when I'm on stage, because you can be like mean to people back. You can like roast audience members, because anyone who's going to be roasting you is opening themselves up to get roasted, right?
Sure.
Like,
That's a complete invitation. right
yeah,
there.
right. If you're going to be bold enough to heckle anyone at a comedy show, which I don't see too much at comedy shows, I've seen it with other people. It's a bold move, and then you have to know you are now like target number one for that comic. But honestly, I think in Philly at least, most people who are at these shows are also comics, so they're not really super quick to heckle unless they're your friends, right? And then they're like heckling you for fun. But I haven't really seen anyone get like obliterated. But I sure would like to. So if you hear of any,
For sure.
yeah.
So what are your comedy goals? Like, what is your, like, where does it kind of like hit the line, or where does it cross the finish line for your realistic goals?
That's a really good question. I guess my realistic goals is I would like to get the classic 8 seasons out of the show. You know, I think that would be ideal. I would like a Netflix special as a stand-up comic. I think that's like the highest goal I can think of that's achievable-ish, you know, not impossible. I've always said like my biggest I have like a bucket list, obviously, because that's what you do when you're terminal. And so one thing on my bucket list has always been like to host SNL. I'm like, maybe one day, but you have to be famous enough to do that. So it's like, we'll see. But yeah, I think logistically in the next 5 years, my goal is to have a Netflix or a Comedy Central special on with my stand-up. And I need to make an hour first. I only have like a 45-minute set, but I think I can do it.
And where would you want to have it? Like, where would you record it?
Oh, okay. Well, I guess, probably the Kimmel. Yeah. I know Aziz Ansari, one of his specials was filmed at the Merriam, which is my college's building.
Bert Kreischer at the Truck.
Yeah, at the Truck. Someone has one at the Keswick. Someone famous has one at the Keswick. I forget who it is. Yeah, I guess it would be Philly, because although there's then just like the classic ones, like the Orpheum in LA, or the oh God, what's it called? Mulaney just did his last special, the big one in New York. The oh my gosh. I did not live in New York that long, so I need help. I had to move, unfortunately.
Gramercy?
No, it's like it's three
Radio
words.
City.
Radio City Music Hall. Thank
it.
you.
That's
That's
it.
4 words, but it is more than one. Yeah, I think that's my goal. Something like that. Something that's close enough. People could come see me, my friends. But you also don't want too big of a house because you need to fill it, or it's embarrassing.
Right.
So.
Yeah, because like in stand-up comedy, we always hear like when people make it or whatever, like the Comedy Store is like the big place where people want to be. So
Yep.
I didn't know if that was like a bucket list place.
Definitely to perform there. I don't know that they like film specials at the Comedy Store.
I think only one person has.
Yeah.
And it's like one of their like killer people. Whether I don't know if it was like Rogan or somebody like of that
Yeah.
That
stature.
caliber,
Yeah, in Philly, there's a lot of awesome comedy clubs. Like I perform at Helium sometimes. Helium rocks. I've never been to Punchline, but I've heard that they're like kicking ass. Punchline is like the new hot comedy club right now.
Oh, speaking of Punchline
Yeah.
and female comics,
Yeah.
Taylor Tomlinson.
Taylor Tomlinson,
She
I
is
fucking
the
love
fucking
her.
best. Absolutely.
What was her?
And she sold out like 7 or 8 nights at the Punchline.
What was her latest special called? I forget.
There's only
what
one
it
on
was called.
Netflix, right?
Yes, I love her. She's the one who does like, she's like a very round face, and she does like a lot of bits about how like she looks like the kind of girl you want to take home to your mom for Easter.
Quarter life crisis.
Quarter life crisis. Yeah. I was gonna say she's like maybe only a year older than me. I really like her. She's done a lot with herself at a very young age, which a lot of stand-up comics you see who are women are in their 30s, and 40s. So it's So I would love to have one in the next 5 years. That would be pretty cool to hit it before I hit 30.
Nice. So on your Instagram, I saw a picture of a script called "There's a Murder at the End of this film."
Yeah.
Is that a secret project, or is that something you could talk about? Or
It
what is
in existence. It is on the internet. It is a film that I wrote and starred in 2018. It's a comedy about a girl whose girlfriend breaks up with her, so she decides to kill her. Like that's the whole her whole plot is like, I'm gonna kill this girl because she broke up with me. And I play the girl who got broken up with, and it's like it's called "There's a Murder at the End of this film" because it's like, is there? Do you guys remember that book that was like there's a monster at the end of this book, and it was like Grover from Sesame Street, and it was like you kept flipping, and he was like, oh my god, there's a monster, and then at the end it was just like a mirror, and he's like, I'm the monster. It's actually very deep, like looking back. Oh my god, we're all the monster. So it was a movie I did a couple years ago that I was super proud of. I haven't thought about that in a while. Thank you for reminding me.
Actually, so as I'm looking through your Instagram, I'm starting to like piece things together. I saw your Scream tattoo. I saw you were in LA. I saw that script all at the same time. I'm like, is she in the new Scream movie?
Oh god, can you imagine? Oh, that's the dream. And honestly, if they keep making
and that tattoo came after the script and the pool picture. So I'm like, she just starred in that movie, and that's
such a better situation than what actually happened.
Sorry.
Which is that I just got a Scream tattoo.
Right.
My best friend, who's like my comedy partner in crime, she is the other writer for. She's the funniest person I know. She's the other writer for Terminally Chill. She and I run a podcast where we review horror movies. We're both comedians, she and I, this year was our 11-year anniversary as best friends. So we would have gotten it for our 10-year, but we were in the middle of COVID. So We got our matching tattoos.
The
Savannah
fuck are
and
we
I.
getting?
Yeah, what are you guys getting?
Slices of pizza, probably.
Yeah,
Get pizza pentagrams.
that's
Yeah.
good. Yeah,
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah.
Hell pizza.
Yeah, I like that.
Oh my god, that's great.
Yeah. So yeah, that's the script. It's on YouTube. You can look it up. There's a murder at the end of this film. It's a short 30-minute comedy.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't watch that one. I'll check that out.
Yeah, thank you.
So I don't think you mentioned. Is there a network for Terminally Chill?
So right now it's like we said, we're doing like through the web until we get picked up by a network. So for right now, it runs through a network called Things Millennials Make, and they have a documentary series and stuff like that. But this is the first scripted TV series with them. So
Cool.
Awesome.
yeah.
That's
So
great.
is there anything you got coming up besides for that? Any stand up?
I'm really trying not to because I have so much memorizing to do for this show. I realized today it's fucking November 4th or October 4th already, and I was like, fuck. So I've already had to turn down a few shows because I'm like, I really need to fucking memorize. So God willing, no, there will be no shows until I'm finished filming this till December 1st, and then I'll be back at it. Yeah.
I was just thinking, I was like, how do we get to where you are just to be like an extra somewhere? Like,
Oh, you can.
in a Wawa. Somewhere.
We need extras, so I will literally, absolutely. Oh man, we're gonna have to.
We're musicians
This
too.
is legally
so if there's
binding
any-
now.
Yeah. We're musicians too. So
That's
we're
perfect.
Multifaceted. We'll bring instruments.
That's
and-
amazing. Yeah, we are always looking for extras. We're definitely filming. We always film in Philly, but we're definitely filming a couple things in a brewery in like KOP area.
Let me say some taco lines.
Yeah.
Maybe?
Smokes.
Smokes. Yeah.
Let's say that thing that I said to Angel that one time, his wife. I'll guess I'll have to block out her name if you want me to.
No, it's I don't give a shit.
She was walking down. I said it in like a New York accent. This is before they were together. She was walking down with this guy she was seeing at the time.
Yeah.
He already knows what
Yeah,
I'm about to say.
I know it too.
And I'm in the car with my friend. I'd never met this guy before in my life.
Yeah.
And I opened the door and I'm like, hey, yo, bitch, you trying to suck my fucking balls?
Yep.
And I bet he loved it.
Oh, he was
Yeah.
not thrilled at all.
Nah, what?
And she had to like pull him back a little bit.
Wait, that's so funny. Well, yeah, well, definitely. You guys can come on as like diction coaches for Delco accents. You can come show people how to do the
Oh,
Delco
yeah,
accent.
for
There you
sure.
go.
Sweet.
Like, here's the script. How would you say it? And then, yeah.
He's
Like, yeah.
fucking hoogie. Fuck you.
Well, not even that, but
Biggie.
if this show doesn't say the word John like at least
Oh,
100 times,
1,000. It has to. It has to. Or else it's inauthentic. Yeah. We should also probably make an episode as we're talking about this. I'm realizing we should probably write in like a plot line about the cars, the shoveling out the
Oh, yeah, the
cars with the
spaces,
chairs.
yeah.
Yeah. Because that is such a universal thing in Philly that everyone in Philly just knows and respects.
Everybody knows the rules. You
Yeah.
shovel, you get the spot.
Right. That's and no matter how much you hate the person who shoveled it, fair is fair. Like we all are like, obviously, I'm not going to mess with the rules.
One spot,
could-
everybody knows the
yeah.
rules.
yeah,
See, that's what I keep thinking. I didn't say it. But
I could,
that's what
like-
I've been
Yo,
thinking.
one spot, everybody knows the rules.
but the thing is, I could
Fuck
see it
you.
now. It's like, yo, fucking Jerry parked in our parking spot. Yeah, Mayor, but you didn't put the fucking chairs out there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I was busy eating my fucking hoagie.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, you have to
Yeah.
put the chairs out. And it can't be something else. It has to be the chairs.
The
right,
chairs.
right.
Because the
That's-
cones are always there.
Yeah.
people always
The chairs
put
are the
cones out.
universally recognized.
It's got to be a fucked up chair.
I was
It's
gonna
never a nice brand new chair. It
Yeah.
has a fucking missing leg.
I was gonna say it has to have definitely like a weight limit to it at this point where you're like, oh, you can't sit in that chair. Don't sit in that chair. Yeah.
That's not the sitting chair. That's
No,
the
yeah,
spot saving
that's
chair.
the spot saving chair. Yeah, yeah. We should. That's such a. You ever wonder like? Because I will say where I live, all these people have been moving in from like New York, you know, for like cheaper rent, whatever, to commute. It's like I live in in an area where most people who live there have been there their whole lives, like family generations. I live by the stadiums, and then we have a lot of people who are coming in, like it's becoming more gentrified, more high rises being built and shit.
Right.
It's like a lot of people are coming in from New York. I just can't believe I haven't heard of yet like someone getting like massacred because they didn't know the rule because they aren't from here.
Yeah.
Like they hadn't heard of you, like someone trying to move someone's chair because they're from New York. I feel like that's, or even from the suburbs, you might not know too.
No,
I don't think I
suburbs,
knew.
we play by the chair rule.
We see, I guess because I grew up in Horsham, like in Montgomery County, and we didn't ever have to shovel
Yeah,
any. You know,
where
it was,
where we grew up, it was in like Clifton Heights. Not so much Vinny, but he got to witness it all. He was in a different neighborhood, but him and I, we lived around the corner from each other. We lived in row homes.
yeah.
So
Okay.
probably
Yeah.
similar to like South Philly. Like,
Yeah.
if you're like near like Oregon Ave or something,
Yep.
it's sort of like.
Totally.
Yeah, it's one of those scenarios where you can fit 25 cars on the street, so there's 40 parked there at any given moment.
Yep. Exactly.
there's
And, they
always,
have
like,
each other blocked
They're
in.
all like the rich man family, like mother, father,
Yep.
daughter, son,
Yep.
and then like the mother and father have a car.
Yep.
So one goes out back and one goes out front on the street.
Absolutely. Yeah. And then they block each other in because they can. But if you block in someone else,
So like we
your
dealt
neighbor's
with that-
calling you.
We dealt with that whole chair scenario.
Yeah.
Yeah, and fights and everything else that stems from that.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't realize Clifton Heights was like more urban in that way, like that it was not so much of a suburb.
Shit. Yeah, I mean we're only
Yeah.
10 minute drive outside of Philly.
Yeah.
So yeah, we get all the fuckery,
Nice.
but we still get to live in the suburbs.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
All the fuckery, less violence.
Less taxes. Yeah.
A little less fun.
Less
Yeah.
taxes. Yeah.
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 Oh, I love that.
Little less violence.
Yeah.
A little less violence.
Dude, there's always some shit going on.
Our
dude.
violence was survivable violence. We would just all fight each other.
Remember the night we were out back of the garage, and up the street we hear scar, boom, boom, and it's like 3:00 in the morning or so. I forget, maybe not 3, but it was late. It was really late, and we all go running up the street, and this woman just bashes into a car, comes back out into the street, slams into the next car, and just like, and they're all parked cars. Like there's no.
Like it was a snipe? Like she was doing it on purpose?
No, she just.
She was fucked up.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
she was wasted.
Called a snipe.
Yeah.
What you do purposely? When you purposely hit a car?
If you were like, this fucking car, now this one. Steve's car, Jess's car. Like she knew the people.
No, like she slams this car, pushes it into the car in front of it. She came
What?
back out and then hit the third car in the line, which pushed that into the car in front of it. But she was stuck under that car.
Oh, she was
Well, we
fucked
go
up.
running up the street and we see it, and she's like. She's got the car in reverse trying to back up at this point. Well, cops are already coming. She's fucked. There's no way she's getting out.
Yeah.
And the cop's like, "What's going on?" She's like, "I forgot my glasses."
Oh,
Something
sweetie.
like that. It was the world's shittiest excuse.
Yeah.
Like,
She's like, I forgot to not take 6 oxys before I drove.
Yeah.
I accidentally did.
Right. In a town with like the most crooked cops having their like cool story, bro.
Oh,
Yeah.
remember Bobo?
Yeah.
So I was at Casey's house. I'm not gonna say his last name, but I was playing drums in his basement, and him and Scott had weed on him.
Yeah, we told this story.
Yeah, well, I'll tell her.
Yeah,
and
let me hear.
I was playing drums. The cops got called because it was too goddamn loud. This cop Bobo came in, took their weed and left.
Yeah, that's about right.
Told
Yeah.
me to stop playing drums.
Yeah. That's their weed now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
And that was Clifton.
Yeah.
It was the same thing like when we got like if we had smokes on us too. Like underage or like, oh, give me your smokes.
Yeah.
yeah, dude.
See you later.
Yeah.
A case of beer.
lost.
Or
I was gonna
something
say
like that.
my dad
that
grew up
was-
in the Northeast, and he said that used to happen all the time. Like they would just, if you were coming over the bridge from Jersey, because in Jersey at the time 18 was the drinking age, and PA it was 21 when he was a teenager. So they would just go to Jersey and then bring it over, and cops would just stop you on the bridge, take your beer, and then be like, "Well, I won't tell if you won't," you know.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
This is your warning. Get out
Right?
of here.
Yeah.
That's funny.
I love that.
Yeah, but you're only getting citations like if it's Natty Light or something.
Yeah. Right.
They just
gonna
don't
say-
want.
Like Natty Light.
They're like, be respectful.
Get out of the car.
They just don't want to do the paperwork. That's what
Yeah,
it
I
is.
know, right?
So I used to work at Acme, and every time we'd get a shoplifter, I mean, we would catch people stealing like $50 worth of stuff, and
Yeah.
then we'd keep them and call the cops, and
Yeah.
the cops would come and they would let them go, and they're like, unless it's $100 worth of stuff, we don't really care.
Right.
We don't
yeah.
want to do the paperwork.
Right. Just make them give it back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Much.
That's
or
a
make
good
them
point.
pay for it.
Yeah. Or make them. Yeah.
But most of the time they couldn't pay for it, and that's why they're stealing it in
Right.
the first place. So we just have to let them go. But they blatantly admit they're like, we just don't want to do the paperwork.
Yeah. I wouldn't either.
Yeah.
That's why I got into a career with absolutely no paperwork.
Not really. You
Yeah.
gotta write scripts. And,
That's true. Yeah, but I do not ever have to fill out forms. You will not catch me filling out a form.
Contracts.
I can't. I signed my very first contract with Terminally Chill. Like I only had to sign it when we filmed the pilot, and I have not had to sign a new one since. So
Oh, that's good.
I know maybe they're taking me for a ride right now, but I don't know.
Either way, minimal paperwork is
Yeah.
the way to go.
Absolutely.
So should we move on to fuckery of the day?
If you got them, I don't got.
I don't
shit.
got them, so I've been leaving it to the guest. So we do this
Okay.
segment called Fuckery of the Day. Basically, it's just anything fucked up. Like, that's almost unbelievable that you've dealt with, heard about, witnessed.
Like the kid that shot those people over
Like
the
the
chair
kid,
and stuff.
okay.
Yeah.
From
But
today.
It doesn't have to be dark. No, it could be anything for your
Okay.
whole life. Anything.
Oh man, well I already talked about the time I was walking to school in New York, so that was pretty,
That's pretty.
that was pretty fucking crazy. Let's see.
Yeah. Now, if you could just follow that up.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Yeah. Okay, let's see. I'm trying to think of like following the thread of like people like saying stupid shit to me when they don't know I'm sick and then finding out. Oh, okay, I can say one time. Well, a couple things have happened to me before when I'm on oxygen serving because people get drunk and they want to ask more questions and like their wife doesn't want them to, you know. And I had a dude who, it was a level of secondhand embarrassment. Like, you ever watch someone fuck up so bad
And you're embarrassed for
that
them.
Yeah.
you can't believe you had to be a part of it? I walked away from this situation happened that I'm about to tell you. I walked away. I went back into the server station with my coworkers, and I was like, I can't even look that guy in the eye because he fucked up so bad. And I know it's my job to be like, it's okay, but I was like,
It's not okay.
even
It's a JFC moment.
yeah, I was so embarrassed. I was so embarrassed for this dude. It physically hurt. But there was a dude. I used to work in Fort Washington, Pennsylvania. Do you guys know where that is?
Yes.
Very rich area, right? Very, very wealthy. So we get a lot of awesome people, but we also get a lot of like very pretentious, asshole, kind of very entitled people in Fort Washington. And it was a upscale Mexican restaurant there. And I was serving with my backpack on, my oxygen backpack. And you know, when you are close enough to a table, you're serving and you're standing next to the table, people have to look up to see you, right? But if they're looking at their menu, they'll just kind of not actually look up at you. And there was a guy sitting with his wife, and she was being very kind. She looked right up when I came over, but some people are just assholes and just think they're too good for eye contact with the help, you know? And so this guy was on his phone the whole time while his wife's talking to him, not paying attention. He's just like, And I go over and I'm like, hey, how's it going, folks? She says hi, and I'm wearing my oxygen backpack, right? And he finally looks at me without looking up, just looks at me, and he must have thought that my backpack was like my purse, like my personal purse, and that I was just being unprofessional by having my purse on me. So the first thing he does is he has his phone in his hand. He looks at me and gets outraged and is like, where did you just fucking get here? Because of my backpack.
Oh, shit.
His fucking face when he saw that it was attached to oxygen was one of the hardest things I've ever. We both were just shocked. I was like, I'm not upset. I'm so embarrassed for you right now. Like, his wife, if they're still married after that, I would be amazed. She was so fucking mad at him. She was like, no. And then it was like a movie. He followed like the thread, because, you know, my tubing goes into the backpack, and he followed it up like in a slow motion, like up into my nose. And his face when he fucking realized, he goes, what did you just fucking get here? And I was like, oh, no, sir. Like, I'm so sorry. They got their food.
You apologize for
Yeah,
that?
I was so embarrassed. How could you sit through that and not just be like, I want to throw up for this dude? That was so embarrassing.
How much did you put on the gift card for him?
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. I was like, here's
Comped his whole
$100.
meal, yeah.
Right. I was like, here's $100. Please don't kill yourself after this. And they did. They had their meal. They ordered tacos. They didn't even finish them. They didn't even ask for a box or anything. They were so mortified for me to come back. Right. So I didn't have to. Usually, like, I'll go get them a drink, come back, ask them if they have any more questions about the menu, come back. There's a couple encounters with the server, right? They ordered immediately right there. You could tell it wasn't necessarily like what they wanted, but he was like, I'll have the fucking carnitas, like tacos, whatever. Ordered them. Someone else ran them out, so like I didn't get to say hi. When I went over to ask them how everything was, which you typically, the rule of the restaurant is like you do it within like three minutes of them getting the food, make sure they liked everything. They have maybe 3 bites taken out of their food. They're not there, and they just left cash, and their bill was $30, and they left me like $90 in cash because they they felt so awful. Yeah. And I still, like, one day just hope that I get maybe famous enough that this guy sees, like, just remembers what he did, and it haunts him every day for the rest of his fucking life, because that was one of the most, it was like you know, certain episodes of The Office where you're like, I can't watch what Steve Carell's doing because he's embarrassing himself to a level. Yeah. Yeah. So I would say that's my general fuckery was, holy shit.
That's a fuckery.
That
Yeah.
poor dude. Yeah.
I was actually running like a more savage moment in my head of like what possibly could have happened if you were just having a bad day that day.
But again, I would never have the balls to ever say anything like
Right.
that. But God, I wish I could have. Yeah.
Like I was waiting to hear like, no, like, yeah, I'm fucking Dora the fucking Explorer, motherfucker. You think I fucking want to wear this shit?
My coworkers used to sing that song to me every time I'd walk into the ship. They'd be like, backpack.
That's fucked up.
I would
awesome.
like take out the like. I'm sure you're
Yeah.
able to take
Yeah,
it
yeah.
out, right?
Yeah.
So I would take it out and like start being.
Like, sorry, sir, let me take this off for you. That
Does
was
this bother
unprofessional. Yeah, I know. Yeah, right.
Call a coworker over and be like, I'm dying.
Yeah, I know.
Could you take this table for me?
Yeah, the customer's always right. You don't want me to wear it? Okay. Yeah.
Take it off and put it on their lap.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Here you go, sir.
You can
Yeah,
have this.
I deal with those type of people like all day long.
Yeah.
And it sucks
Yeah.
because of where I work.
Where do you work?
So I work on the main line for a Land Rover dealership.
So then you definitely know if you work on the main line who I'm talking about. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I mean, I meet some cool people
Yeah.
through there, but there's definitely people that are, you know, they drive it for the name. They don't know what they have, and you know, they've never changed a wiper blade in their life.
Yeah, right.
These are men that I'm talking
Yeah,
about.
right. They pay people to do that.
Yeah. It's,
Yeah.
you know, can you put these on for me? And I'm like, excuse me? I'm
Yeah.
like, no.
I can do that.
Yeah.
I'm a freshly 27-year-old female.
Yeah. Like,
With a green
you have a
acting.
phone, right? Fucking YouTube. Get out of my
Yeah,
face.
right. I was gonna say it's not that hard. Yeah.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah. So you get it. Yeah. A lot of pretentious people, but that was, I would say, the most
That's
embarrassed I've
terrible.
ever been for anyone.
Yeah, I would be embarrassed.
Yeah.
I did that one time. I had no fuckery when we started this, but I do, and it was my fault actually too. I was that guy, but it was totally unintentional.
Yeah.
So I used to work in a store. I used to work retail, and I used to work in a store where we sold construction stuff to people. You know, whatever, construction workers, whatever odd. So dude's over in the one corner of the store, and he's looking at like pairs of jeans or something like that. Well, I walk up and I said, "Hey man, you need a hand?" Turns around and he doesn't have a hand.
No.
And I'm like,
Dude.
oh shit. Like immediately. I had the
Dude.
biggest oh shit look on my face. And he turns around and looks at me and just busts out laughing.
Dude.
I was like, I am so sorry. He's like, no, the look on your face was worth it.
Dude. I have a story that I'm gonna have to say off mic because
Okay.
it can't come back to me. But when we're done, I have something really similar to that
Seriously,
just
like
happened.
the worst I ever felt in my life.
that
Just
reminds
totally
me.
accidental.
Did you ever see The Adventures of Babysitting? That's another one of my favorite movies.
Oh God! Don't
So
fuck
you've
with the
seen it.
babysitter.
Yeah.
No, I haven't.
Don't fuck
Do
with the
yourself a
Lord.
favor. Watch that one.
What kind of movie is it?
It's an 80s movie.
Like,
If you
what
like Back
genre?
to the Future.
Okay.
Um,
Action-ish. Okay.
It's about a babysitter who
It's like an adventure film.
Okay.
yeah, a babysitter whose friend leaves, like runs away from home.
Okay. Yeah.
Gets
Yeah.
stuck in a bus depot in Chicago. Is it Chicago?
I don't remember that
think it's
well, but
Chicago.
I think
Nice.
you might be right.
And she's scared. And she has no more money. She
Okay.
can't get anywhere. So she's like, you need to come pick me up. So she takes the kid she's babysitting
Uh-huh.
into Chicago and blows a tire on the way there. And she's in the suburbs. So, like,
It's just like a comedy of errors kind of thing.
Love those.
Yeah,
Love
and,
those.
like, yeah, shit just keeps going wrong.
Yeah. Classic. Yeah. I know. I never heard of it. That's crazy.
But then, like, the only reason she's babysitting in the first place is because her boyfriend stood her up. Like, they were supposed to go on a date. And her boyfriend stood her up, and then she just watch the
Whatever
movie.
can go wrong will go wrong. Yeah.
Yeah,
Murphy's
exactly.
Law.
Watch
Yeah.
the movie.
I'm familiar.
Really good.
Oh, I
You
love
remember that so clearly. I don't remember half the details that you
it's one
just
of-
said about that.
So
It was formative for him.
it's like Back to the Future favorite movie, and then like that has to be in the
Yeah.
top 5. Yeah.
I never
But
heard of it.
there's this one part in the movie where they get into the tow truck, and the tow truck driver doesn't have a hand, and the reaction when he like
No.
because pulls up to a house
Yeah.
and his wife is cheating on him,
Uh-huh.
the tow truck driver. So he goes and pulls the gun out of his glove compartment, but it ends up being the claw that he pulls it out
No.
with. And when they see the claw, they're like, "Oh shit!"
Yeah. Right.
And then the little girl's reading a comic about like a guy with a claw hand who's like a
Uh-huh.
murderer.
And so she's like, "Oh my god."
He's a
yeah,
murderer.
Right.
Yeah.
hmm
So like,
Yep.
yeah, they're just all fucking scared.
I
and
love
it's
that.
Hilarious, yeah.
Oh my god.
Anything else? Or is that Oh yeah, let's talk about the banana. Were you worried?
I'd rather not.
Were you? Did you have any questions about this banana?
Okay, so I've spotted it earlier, and I guess my what the fuck?
All right, look, we all had the same reaction to this banana. It was sitting over there before you came, but being a comedian, I thought you would find it funny. It just sitting on the table.
I
didn't
noticed
do that.
the
Whichever
nub,
one of you grabbed that, thank you.
I noticed that the nub was not like a banana nub. You know, it wasn't like brown like that at the end. And then it got worse.
She's so weirded out by it.
Fucking, what is it? What the fuck is it?
That was my Christmas present last year.
From who?
My wife.
Was she mad at you? What? What's it filled with? Like beads?
I don't know. It's like a stress ball kind of thing.
Oh,
So
okay.
Now it's a fucking dirty, flaccid banana.
I was gonna say that's the only word there is flaccid. Oh my god!
If you look up flaccid in the dictionary, that's the picture.
It's a picture of this fucking thing. What?
So
that is just
And then the
god.
flop it makes.
What the fuck?
So a couple of weeks ago, we had another stand-up comedian on, Lamar Todd, and showed him that, and he was like freaked.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, his girlfriend was over there on the couch, and
Yeah.
it was on the table.
Yeah.
And then we brought it over here, of course, because we had to.
Yeah.
It's just
That's
it was
disgusting.
he was like,
But yeah, that's exactly what.
straight up, he was just like, dog, what the fuck is that?
That was my reaction too when we were setting this up, and I saw, dude, what the fuck
Yeah.
is this?
What? Yeah. And why? Because like it's not even like that your wife bought it; is someone had to make it. Which
Right.
you know,
Right.
this is someone's life's work in a way. You know.
I'm glad I'm not the person that gets up every morning and goes to the job where you make that.
Right,
Like
right. For me, my project is terminally chill, and for this banana dude, it's this fucking thing.
I think that constantly when I'm driving by like businesses or I see products like this. I'm like, who wakes up and they're like, today I'm gonna make a floppy fucking banana.
This is my life's work. Yeah,
Right.
this is what it's been all
Or
about.
I'm gonna open up a button shop.
Yeah,
A shop that just sells buttons. I love buttons so much.
and people are gonna fucking lose it. They're gonna love my.
And I'm gonna
buttons.
get a shop on South Street, and
Yeah,
I'm
right.
gonna sell buttons. Like,
and then they stay open enough, and you're like, so enough. There's enough of a market for
That's
fucking
what
buttons.
gets me. You see a store like that's been around for
I
more than 6
know.
months, and you're like, wait a minute.
I know.
They're
and then can
sustaining
you imagine
themselves?
having like your mom that supports you, like, you're gonna be the best fucking button maker.
Yeah, your mom has 1,000 buttons in her house that you made. It's like when you go to the really rich areas, like I know the main line for sure, and like if you go to like one of my best friends lives in Princeton area, and they have specialty olive oil shops. You know what I mean? And you're like, that's how you know you're rich when you're in a rich area when there's such crazy specialty shops that stay open for years and years and years.
Yeah, it's just, we discovered that's just food lube.
Yeah, right. You just get your olive oil at the fucking Acme, like the rest of us.
It's not even used for anything else than to lubricate whatever you're cooking.
Lubricate
Yeah,
your
right.
intestines, just food lube.
Yeah,
It makes
exactly.
everything go down.
You put it in the pan. Yeah.
That's it.
Oh man. So is that it?
Yeah.
I think that's it.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us.
Thank
It's
you
been
for
fun.
having me.
Yeah,
This
it's
is
hilarious.
awesome. I love this.
Come back anytime. This
I
was a
absolutely
good
will.
time.
And then you guys have to come be extras on my show.
100%.
Fair is fair.
Give us a call. whenever.
Okay. I love
Shake
that.
on it.
Yeah, we'll shake on it. This is legally
Deal.
binding
Legally
now.
binding.
Yeah, legally binding. Thank you.
Where's the knife? Let's cut our.
Yeah, I was gonna say, show
blood
me
on
you
the
fucking
table.
mean it.
It's a fucking Slayer shirt.
Don't be a little bitch about it. Amazing.
Cool. Thank you.
Love it. Thank you.
All right, everybody, that's it for this episode of the Hollow Chord Podcast. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Instagram at the Hollow Chord Podcast and on Twitter at Fuckery of the Day. You can also find us on Spotify or iTunes or wherever podcasts really can be found. Just look us up, the Hollow Chord Podcast. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share,
With your friends, with your mom, with your dog,
tell yo daddy.
with your daughter and your cricket or boyfriend.
Yeah.
Eating water ice with a hoagie. Listening to Hollow Core Podcast.
Yeah, I'm getting a water ice fountain for the wedding.
For the wedding, yeah. What else would you have for dessert? Fucking cake? Fuck that shit.
Pizza.
Yeah.
Pizza. More pizza.
fountain.
Pizza for
Fountain.
dinner. Pizza fountain.
Pizza fountain, cheese.
Fountain.
Dip
It's a
fucking
thing.
bread in it. Yeah.
It's a thing. dude.
Bread, you get pretzels.
Now marinara sauce.
Marinara.
Marinara.
Marinara. gotta have the marinara.
You get the breadstick, dip it in the marinara fountain,
Now how long it
and then
takes?
you dip it in the mozzarella cheese and shred it.
Now how long it takes to make marinara? Marinara.
Let's sign this shit off.
That's it. We're done.
All right, dog. We out.